Hello, I'm Melissa.
And I'm Nicola. Welcome to the Tea and Trails podcast with Eddie and Gary. It's your turn.
Oh, okay. We're currently just on an official Lakeland 100 recce between Brittermere and Delmain. It's been really refreshing to see lots of the Tea and Trail family out there.
And all the buffs on display. Enjoy the podcast.
Bye.
Hello and welcome to episode 118 of the Tea and Trails podcast. And thanks for the intro, ladies, Melissa and Nicola, repping Tea and Trails snooze on an official Lakeland 100 recce. See you in Coniston, ladies. How many weeks out? Are you coaching any athletes for one of the Lakeland races?
Oh,
Eddie?
yeah. Most of them are still recovering from other races. Just turning your eyes. And I've got some exciting news about that, Gary. I will be there. I will be there. Oh my God, I am going to be there, rubbing you down, stretching you out.
Oh, I can't wait.
Ironing your shorts.
In the flesh.
Dipping in the flesh. Lubing up.
Too much.
Double hand lubing.
15 weeks, so it's loads of time, isn't it?
15 weeks, loads of times for you to imagine all the good stuff.
We should do like a Facebook marathon. This is complete stale from Marathon Talk. They used to do a Facebook Friday. It's like t-shirts around the world or something they used to do. We should do something like snoods on the
Snoods around the
trails.
world.
Please keep those intros coming. Email them to hello@teaandtrails.com, and big hugs and kisses. Tongues too, or is that a bit too much? No tongues?
Some of them would be a bit shocked. Some of them I think would be keen.
I think I'd ask first. To all our patrons and everyone who has joined Patreon over the last week, for the price of a cuppa, you can keep the likes hot and the mics on and save big time on all your trail running essentials. And don't forget, if you would like a snood or a bobble hat, then you need to add your address to Patreon. No address, no goodies.
Thanks to X Miles, Precision Fuel and Hydration, Harrier Trail Running, Phoenix Light UK, Shocks and Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show.
X-Miles is a family-owned independent endurance sport retailer that provides nutritional goods, apparel and accessories to help athletes perform and recover at their best. X-Miles offer a wide range of high-quality products from leading brands, and their team of nutrition experts, cyclists, runners and outdoor enthusiasts can provide expert advice and guidance to help you reach your goals. Whether you're a seasoned athlete or just getting started, X-Miles is the perfect place to find everything you need to succeed. Listeners get 10% off at www.xmiles.co.uk via the link in the show notes.
Tea and Trails Ultra Easter offer is still on. Buy one entry, get one free. Yes, you heard correct. Aria are offering buy one, get one free on all our Tea and Trails entries. All you need to do is choose from either the 30k or the 50k distances. Enter via the Tea and Trails Ultra website, and once you've made your entry, you'll be able to add your trail buddy free of charge. If you already have an entry, log on to SI Entries and add a friend on us. Offers valid till the 30th of April. So, if you're listening to this, I'd probably stop the run. Just open up the internet and log on and make sure you've got an entry. Very grateful too to Yugoku Projects for producing the Tea and Trails cap. Pop over to Yugoku Projects if you'd like one. Don't forget, patrons receive 20% off. Garrett, your week has been a lot more exciting than my week. Can we start with you? Just also because I've just got the kids back to school after almost 3 weeks holiday, and I just really want to drink this tea and listen to you talk.
Well, on paper, my week might look exciting, but I'm sure I can drain the energy out of the way I deliver it.
Just like the heat training.
Well, yeah, we'll start off with lots of heat training. It is getting much easier. You will have experienced this. You go through this phase where it's like, oh my goodness me, this is so tough.
I miss those days, Gary. I really miss those days.
Well, I do feel like, am I not working hard enough? That's a kind of a funny psychology thing I'm going through at the moment. But I think I'm on a trauma of 6 out of 10 per average heat training run. I am not a heat champ, but I might be in time for London. Let's see.
I've seen the stats. It's gonna, if you set yourself the goal, which I'm nervous you've already set, you are going to turn up to London like
a prune. Shriveled prune, like a raisin. We run a lot. We run for a long time, many years. Running is repetitive.
It's got dull, and this has spiced our relationship up, don't you think?
Exactly.
We've added something new, and this is good, everybody. If you feel feel things at home are a little, samey, same old trainers,
Just go on a
same
love
old
run
routes.
with your heat suit on. That'll spice things. But I've seen I've seen the ice baths, I've seen all that kind of stuff, and none of it has really pricked my interest. But yeah, every now and again, something's come along and it's just stoked the flames. I'm enjoying it. Workouts wise, well, there's a price to pay for the heat training because I had a 30-minute tempo on the plan. I just couldn't face it. I just felt absolutely shot to pieces. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday when I tried to do it. So I swapped it for a 40-minute.
When did you stop it? Did you stop it when you started or before you even started?
I stopped it before I even started.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Well, I think, it's good to be flexible. It's good to move.
I'm proud of you.
It's good to do something. I didn't completely sack it off. And the 40-minute uphill, up-tempo in zone 3, although it's, it's still hard. You're still a lot of sweat coming off you then. It did seem a lot lighter, mentally load than 30 minutes of tempo. And also, I did have a little get out of jail free card with London Marathon coming up.
It's amazing how you use that card just like you do Monopoly when it suits you, isn't it?
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. And then the other workout of the week, again, it's quite short in terms of like minutes of volume, 8 times 3 minutes at 10% on the treadmill. Ran home on both days, suited up. So that gets me another 4 miles of heat training too.
Have you washed your heat?
I hose it all down.
yet?
When I get home, I've got this little ritual. It's quite nice that it's warm at the moment. So I peg it all up on the clotheslines outside and I give everything a jet wash.
I don't think that's doing much for the smell. I think you're just power washing it back in.
I listened to the David Roach podcast that you pointed out about the heat training, and he was saying about when they finish the run, he'd go and do some work, sitting on his stool in front of his computer with his heat suit on. Now, we both know the sweat that comes off you. All the sweat in his house. What kind of
I have a
what's
special
happening
towel,
there?
Gary. I have a special towel and it lives over the back of the kitchen bench. And when I come in, if Bryn's at home and he's doing like kids' tea or something, I just put the towel down to sit on it. Or like David, if I'm going to sit at my desk and do 15 minutes while I cool down, I just put the special towel down. That could go on Patreon, the special towel.
I just sit in the garden. There's a slump on the wall in the garden and just, if it's sunny, it's quite nice because I'm still getting cooked in the sun. And like I say, you still got 20 minutes in heat training. It's been nice. Lisa hasn't been off work, but her shifts have meant that we can have some love runs. I've enjoyed that. More animal facts. On top of, a few weeks ago when I saw a frog.
And now I look at frogs, I'm like, dude, how far you've gone.
So on this run, the newt, this will just kind of reinforce how impressive the mighty newt is. So these are Google facts. They might not actually be facts. We saw a deer. I'm not too sure what species of owl it was, but yes, let me scroll down. So most roe deer spend their lives within about 3 kilometers from where they were born, and that home range may be as little as 10 acres depending on food and cover. I thought 3K, I was a little unimpressed.
There's definite gangs around us of like, we hang out here. They're always in like roughly the same place. They've all been breeding. We are surrounded. This morning I was out early. Chose a terrible route this morning. I went like proper like into the Highlands early morning, but it was a beautiful like fresh juice. The scent must have been incredible. I was being pulled along by my 2 hounds from hell. Some moments I was like, guys, I'm just gonna need to take a moment. Anyway, there were deer like everywhere. They didn't know where to go. But then I also saw the deer colour in his van looking out. And I was like, I know where they all are. We've just literally just run past. And he was looking the other direction. And I was like, I'm not telling him. I was like, you just keep looking in that direction. But you're right. They don't move. I was
impressed. I thought the newt, the roe deer, it's not really like a socially mobile animal. I like the newt. That's going to be reading the Guardian. It's going to be doing like literature, experiencing new cuisine. The roe deer, that's probably John Smith's. Probably this is not me being judgy. Probably reading the Sun, something like that. White bread. That's the kind of vibe.
Definitely a bit stupid, I think, because they sort of stand there looking, and you're like, if I did have a gun, you'd be, if I was a hunter.
But then the barn owl, Barn owl
Oh,
has a
gosh, there's
home
more.
range. Home range, they're comparatively huge. In the winter, they can be up to 5,000 hectares. I love it when somebody compares it to a football
Yes.
pitch.
Oh, don't. My kids always, they're like, so how long is that compared to a football pitch? Everybody
Over
understands.
7,000 football pitches. But in the summer, when there is more food about, the area they use most shrinks to about 350 hectares. That equates to about 1k radius around the nest when they are breeding and about 4k radius at other times. However, barn owl home ranges are never circular and can be almost any shape.
Do you think there's podcasts with deer and barn owls on and they look at our Strava and they say, these guys do the same 5-mile loop around their house every day?
Every day. So I love sharing a few little facts.
Yeah,
But
I
I'm
love it.
impressed, like a winged, an owl doesn't really travel that far.
Well, it's exactly the same as us. We like clock hundreds of miles running, but actually our actual circumference of running.
True. Went to the Moors on Saturday with Robbo. I enjoyed that. Just the two of us. Increased. So this is the XXL loop, I think, now for this Winstones half marathon loop. It's really struggled early on. I'm not too sure if I was just tired or it was the accumulation of all the heat training. So any excuse to stop and chat. We saw listener Kendra Wedgwood, a nice little selfie on the three sisters, two guys walking and wild camping. Yeah, like I say, anytime we saw somebody, I would just stop. If it was a wee little nature break, anything like that, a little snack. I couldn't run and eat, so every time I could take a rest, I did. But as the run progressed, maybe kind of 15 miles in, I started to get my legs back. A nice little lovely sunny cuppa in the Lordstone's Cafe. And they've got like a little garden-y tables outside. Yeah, really, really nice finish to the run. Family curry and a beer on Saturday. I had 2 beers. This is all it takes, Eddie, is 2 beers. And that is equals a shocking sleep. It really frustrates me because I'm pretty good all through the year. And you should be able to enjoy these treats. But yeah, I look back on a Sunday morning with a little bit of regret.
Do you think maybe it was the curry and the beer put together?
Yeah, a lot of curry. Even the guy who took our order, he kept wanting to end the order. He thought we'd had enough.
I knew you were like, I love that.
We kept layering it on top of that.
What were you adding on the curry order that they were like, no, sir, no more.
We all had a main, we all had a rice, we didn't all have naan breads.
You all had a rice.
We all had starters. Apologies, 3 rice, which we couldn't finish anyway.
Yeah.
All had starters. Then we had paneer. I love the Indian cheese. Sagaloo, the potatoes and spinach.
Oh, I've got to have sagaloo. No, that's never finished, is it? That's never finished.
Dal. The Taki dal, I love that.
But no Peshwari naan. That's what.
No, I don't like the sweet night. I don't like the sweet naan. Garlic naan.
We've had a curry together. Do you remember?
We have, yes.
A curry.
I think it was the beer. I just went in hard on the.
I'm proud of you.
Fun times. Party tea Sunday, and we had so much food that we had party tea on Monday too. You gonna have a party tea? Did you have one?
We had party tea. I love a party tea. A party tea's still going on. Sausage rolls, still living the dream in the fridge. Can you cast? I mean, my kids have sausage rolls as a snack. I can't think of anything less healthy, but they just love them.
Furnace is your kids, aren't they? They just go on. I don't think there's any nutrition in sausage rolls.
No, there's no nutrition. Try match with a banana. I'm like, match with something slightly nutritious.
It was all beige though, our party tea. I think we were like pakoras and onion bhaji.
Oh yeah,
samosas.
they can't be. The only colour can be carrots and peppers, and then you're just going to put hummus all over them anyway. So becomes beige.
True.
Yeah,
I do love a party tea. I bought some pair of the North Face Vective Pro 3.
Now, which ones are those? They're not the carbon ones. They're just the
carbon plated ones. I think they've even got 2 carbon plates. I'm sure they've got a double plate in them.
Okay, I'd need to
really big stack height on these. So if you are on buffed out, non-technical trails,
South Downs Way 100. I think I wore those.
They might not have been out then. Maybe they were.
The mother or father of this.
Smoking fast though. If you're on a buffed out trail, I don't know any. Yeah, maybe the South Downs Way, those kind of trails would be much suited. So I've worn them in the lakes and on the moors, and anything non-technical, just eats it up. But as soon as you
ankles,
rocks,
no stability. Yeah. But I think I wore them. Whatever the one of that one was, I did used to wear them a lot, like the alpine trails, non-rocky ones. Good. Nice. And they're fine on the downhill. But you're right. Anything or any snow. My friends will remember the story, I think, when I wore them across some sort of Eiger crossing.
These are like an early purchase for potentially for the Lakeland 100. If it is dry...
You definitely need new shoes, I would have thought.
There's some points in the Lakeland 100, you know, over the whole scheme of the race, it's not a technical race, but there's some elements of it where, a little bit of grip or something. I think the issue was I felt so far off the ground with them.
Yeah.
It's like a 39 mil stack height, something crazy like that. I'm not sure if those numbers are exactly correct.
The only thing you're going to know is go and run on it and think, but and go and run on it.
So I did the Newlands Memorial route the other week on it, and some of those trails coming off Dale Head, the trail down there, was like a bit rock and roll. And over the Three Sisters, it was a bit rock and roll too when you're going down some of those steps. They're not technical, but it's like rocky steps.
Yeah, you just need ankle stability. Yeah.
But everything else, it was absolutely
Do you remember
fine.
meeting me coming down those steps out of just before
on
the
your bum.
Lordstones? And I couldn't step down. What was wrong? Was it just my legs were just so sore?
I'm not too sure what it was.
So I just sat down.
You just overcome when you saw me. That's what it was.
I just sat down. I said some rude words.
And I filmed it all. I did the weights, only body weight sessions though now, more mobility and body weights. 2 of those, I weighed myself. Sad times, I'm still putting on weight. I can't understand it. I'm still putting on weight, but I didn't weigh myself for the purposes of seeing how heavy I was. It was basically to see how heavy I was pre and post heated run. Roughly speaking, it was about 5 pounds I'd lost in total, which if you minus off the drink I had, somewhere between 1.5 and 2 litres of fluid I lost on the average heat run. So if you are thinking about doing this, and I've seen over on X Miles how many people have bought the Core Sensor using the Tea and Trails discount code.
How many dehydrated people there are.
Yeah, be super careful. Do not neglect that hydration. Severance TV. This is fantastic. I'm not too sure if you would like this. Do you like thrillers? It's not a car chase.
Is it a killing?
Not yet. See, there's a funny... So basically, this is not a spoiler. You do learn this in episode 1. There's a place where people go to work and certain people have their brain severed. So it's only one person. Their memory severed, sorry. So it's only one person. When they go to work, they can't remember anything from the outside. And then when they're in the inside, they can't remember anything they're doing at work.
This is like my kids at school.
And we don't even know watching what actually they are doing at work. It does seem quite sinister, and we're on season 2 now. It seems very sinister, potentially.
Okay, I'm gonna let you carry on before I dip into this, and you can tell me. Okay,
it's good though. I enjoyed it. That has been my week.
Taper week for London Marathon. You know, Russell, he's suddenly putting out all this Instagram content. I need to ask him why, but I love his videos. They're hilarious. Yeah. And he's doing like how to do, serious stuff. I think you should do a how to taper. You could have done videoed that week.
Complete opposite.
Just been like, come on, guys, work hard right till the end.
Like Goggins style. I think it's really refreshing because there's been times when I've like weighed myself and I've weighed all the carbohydrates I should be eating for carb loading. Or I've been down that route.
Oh, Gary, I'm
time.
so glad you're not on that route anymore. What? I would just not know how to handle that. Now here you are drinking your beer. You're much happier. And as you said last week, you're feeling fast. I think I probably, where are we, Wednesday? I'd probably let that heat training drop. You know how much it takes out of you.
I've got a workout to do. So, spoiler, I'm going to do a little workout. Only 2 or 3 miles at marathon pace. And then I'm going to run home in the heat suit. And then tomorrow morning, which will be Thursday, heat suit.
Double, without much recovery. Oh, dear listener.
But there's nothing here. There's a couple of things at play.
I don't want you to get injured and I don't want you to dig a hole. I don't care what you do at the London Marathon. I'm looking at your long-term health. That's all.
I just want a good day at London. Whatever speed that is.
I'll say it. You won't listen. Yeah. A good day. Good day hobbling around on your cramping calves.
I just think if I can... when they write the history books, if they mention my name and Ellie Kipchoge in the same sentence, the generational greats.
It's going that way. It's going that way. What's your shoe of choice?
Oh, my old Was it Alpha Flies, the ones I had last year from Manchester? I've not bought any new ones. I
They've
only
been
wore
up
them.
Arthur's seat.
Right.
No, they've been up Arthur's seat.
No, those ones.
Oh, not those ones. Did you see any of the Boston Marathon coverage? And apparently the new Puma super shoe is the shoe that was the shoe of choice.
Well, the podium was Adidas and who else? Mizuno. But then, they just pay the best guys.
They just pay a bit. I thought, I don't think Gary's tried the new Puma carbon shoe. Apparently it's the new one.
That's the one.
It'll be on your feet next week, no doubt, after the expo.
Retiring.
Oh, you're retiring next week.
What about you? How's your week been?
I'm not tapering. I'm in it, Gary. I'm in it to win it. Not sure what yet, but I'm in it. I managed everything. Busy week. Kids were doing these sports camps. They really wanted to do it. Anyway, they loved it. But oh my gosh, it was so much driving. I shared the driving with other mums and dads, but it was one day, the traffic was so bad. It took me 2 hours and 40 minutes to pick them up.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's a bit like going around the M25, I think. And I was a bit late getting there. And I was like, just need to get out. I'm going to have a moment before I turn around and drive back through all the traffic I've just done. How is the camp? And the teenager went, it's all right. The younger one, who's not in that mode yet, was like, it was brilliant. It's brilliant. It was great. Thanks. Anyway, he just needed feeding. He needed feeding or something. They loved it though. They've not played, Rory played a lot of football in France and Finley played a bit, but not as much as Rory. And I love that the transferable skills from sport, there isn't on paper, like looking, you'd say downhill alpine ski racing. Would we pick out so you didn't make it at the ski racing, but let's put rugby up there and see how that is. But actually there is quite a lot of transferable skills, but not just the skills actually in sport. I love the way the kids, we've moved them across the countries. We've moved them into completely different lifestyles, completely different schools. Everything is really completely different to what they were born and grown up doing. The language is completely different. And they've just walked in and just gone, with sport, you have a made set of group of friends, you have an understanding, and sport is a constant, whatever it is. And I love that. And I think if anyone who has kids or perhaps plays sport in their younger lives and is getting into running as well, joining a running club and stuff, you'll find your tribe.
Oh, 100%. Training
wise, I got it all done, Gary. I still managed. I'm trying to hit this mileage total, which is no reason at all. I have to set myself like these little goals to make myself get up at 5 a.m. to go running. So I did manage to do that. And I've had about 8-9 weeks of really consistent, good volume, but it's also bitty, like run here, run there, which it doesn't matter. It's all getting it done. Everybody's different. But I did a couple of good workouts. I did 10 by 90 seconds at 10%. So every couple of weeks or 10 days, I throw in like a really nasty fast session. I think it's really good for women of a certain age as well to do fast, hard. You get loads of bang for your buck by doing short, fast stuff.
How much rest after the 90 seconds?
I think what I did was I jumped off for 30 seconds or 20 seconds because my heart rate was going so high. After like 3 or 4, I build into them and then I would slow the treadmill down because it takes that time. So then I would do like 20, 40 seconds slow, but then I would build it up, the pace and the height back up so that I hit full speed. So I got a full 90 seconds. I didn't give myself like 20 seconds of building the pace. I was like full 90 seconds. Oh, I was hanging on. And a couple of times when I went to like step off at the end of the night, I rocked the whole treadmill because I was jumping off it so hard that I was like just hanging on going, eh. I felt good. I felt strong. I loved them. I hate that. The anticipation of that sort of session is horrible. And then once you start it, it goes so quick because you get going 20, 30 seconds, you're all right. You get to 45 seconds and in your head you go, I can't believe I'm only halfway. Then you get to only 30 seconds left. And then that 30 seconds is the worst 30 seconds of your life and slowest. I really did enjoy it. And I'd written on my whiteboard when I'd last done this session, which was about a month ago, and my heart, and so I could see, obviously I've got to beat myself. So I went a whole mile an hour quicker on the treadmill than last time for them. But my heart rate, I'd written 160 heart rate. So I always put the heart rate of what it is at the top end of the session. But I was going 1 mile an hour faster and my heart rate was going higher at the end. It was going about 4 or 5 beats higher, but I didn't feel like that. It just felt like I was able to push harder. So I thought that was really interesting as well. Also, I didn't do it in heat. I did it in like leggings and a bra top. So I didn't have any suit on. So I think as well, you just feel so good.
I run to a heart rate, but I never remember what the actual speed
No, well,
was.
only because I have this whiteboard that I write like the key sessions in so that I can just have a quick look. But now my treadmill, Gary, I fear it's different every time I get on and it's going, I put the little thing in the other night. I was like, Bryn, I think the treadmill is like... I looked up treadmill servicing.
You just dropped it in there. I love it.
Just dropped it in. I said, I've looked up treadmill services, but it's really expensive because it's a private visit. They're going to say it needs a new belt or whatever. They're going to find the motor's deaf. The motor goes like I've said this before. Like, ow. So I just dropped it in the other night. He's like, well, how long have you had that treadmill? I've had 2 treadmills, I think, since we had kids. I said, at least like 6 or 7 years. And he was like, no, I remember building it for you. I think it was, and that was about 4 years ago. I was like,
I don't remember you ever buying a treadmill since we've known each other.
I think it was and I had it in COVID time because we took it outside. And then it's been through many moves. I do think one of the best investments, if you've got kids and you can afford it and you've got the space, is to get a treadmill, because I go on mine every day, pretty much every day. It means I can just if the kids are around, they know they can find me. I love that they see the grind. Got some kudos last night. They were out on the trampoline and they were like, Mum, those were good tunes you were playing. What were you playing? I was like, it's one of my playlists. So I was happy with that. Good session, couple of heat sessions. Oh, Gary, I had some terrible chaffing moment. I know, I always think it can't get worse. This got so bad. I don't know how. I need to do some investigation into the material that's on my back, but I think my back has got so bad now with all this heat training. So I've now had to actually put some actual tape and plasters on my back because it's so bad and it's just not healing, because every time I get hot and sweaty, it just gets worse. It doesn't matter how much lube I get on. So my poor teenage, this is terrible. My poor teenage boy went into his bedroom, knock on the door always, knock and wait. Can I come in? What are you doing? Should we open a window? I said, look, can you lube me up and then can you stick these plasters? I was like, this isn't something I'm going to share with you. They didn't mind it, did a great job. That saved me, and it has healed a little bit, but it was so bad on my long run where I didn't have any tape on that I had my big mountain puffer jacket thing in my rucksack that I had no intention of putting on unless I broke a leg. And I had to get it out halfway through and put it on because I thought it would protect my back a little bit. And then I was just the hottest person. The rest of the day after my long run, I couldn't even bend down to put my shoes on because my back was oh God, I've got to do something about it. Anyway, I've taped it up and left the tape on for a few days, and that seems to have helped. But I can, even sitting here, I can feel it. So I'm not heat training very much this week at all. And you asked the question, I think, a couple of weeks ago, what happens when you get to 100%? And because I'm at 100%, I did a heat session at 100% and it didn't give me any more. And it was amazing how unmotivated I was.
God damn it.
It's plus 2.5%. You can't bank it, basically. On Weakest Link, when they shout, bank. So I thought, actually, I'm going to let it go down a little bit and just not do any this week. I'm going to let it go down a bit and I'm going to do a big one, and a big one at the weekend.
Well, that's what they say. Once you've got to champ, you could probably get away with doing 1 or 2 a week. Yeah,
so I just put it on after that, and I just put it on after that 90-second session and did 2 miles really slow. I wore it during the session, but not with the heat suit on. And then I put the heat suit on for the cool down. And because the temperature was really nearly at 38.5 anyway, I just jogged along. I thought, but it's just not the same. It's not. I love those longer heat suit sessions, those 7, 8, 9 miles afterwards when you're just an absolute shell of yourself, and that cold squash has never tasted so good. So anyway, we had a lovely Easter Sunday. No rest for Jesus, Gary. No rest for Eddie either. He was up and at him. So was I. I just was thinking back what to tell you. We had a lovely day and we had a roast. I didn't have an Easter egg, Gary. I got given an Easter egg, but I didn't eat it. But I didn't even think about it. So busy. We got up early, went for a love run, came back. Kids were so we were like tapping our fingers on the table going, they're going to wake up. When are we going to start the egg hunt? The bunny's been.
Yeah.
Come on. Anyway, we had a lovely day. I didn't eat any Easter eggs. I must have eaten some chocolate. I can't think I went a day without chocolate. But I did eat the new M&S nut roast for 4 in one sitting. That and the cauliflower. Oh my gosh, it was incredible. Bryn will make me one. He's always very kind. He's like, I'll make you one, but it takes forever. And he's in that kitchen for hours, Gary. I need him doing chores, making a mess. I'm like, I'm happy with the M&S one. So I did eat. I ate it all. They're not massive. I ate it all. Then I thought I better go and see like how many people this is
for. It was for 4 people. Incredible.
4 people. Anyway, I had done quite a lot of miles that week, and I do tend to do one big calorie sitting on a meal. So I tend to like snack during the day, and then the evening I feast, which I know is terrible. Netflix classic for you. I think this could be for you, Gary. It's called Ransom Canyon. Have you seen it come up on your Netflix yet?
No, I haven't, no. Interested.
You're going to like it.
10 seasons? Wow.
No. So it's only just started. So it's only got one season. But it's and we're watching it with our eldest, who, like all teenagers, can't follow the thread of any story because they're brought up in that generation where things only last 15 seconds long. And there's so many stories because obviously the writers and all Netflix programs do this. They go, we're not sure where this is going yet. So we're just going to have loads of stories and see which one works. Because that's going to be series 2. That's going to be series 2. He's just sitting there going, so what? That's the cousin of the cowboy and the son of the grandson whose land they don't want to. She's in love with him, but he's crashed. There's so many stories. But it's good. You're going to like it for many reasons, Gary. Let's just leave it out there. And you ladies or men, you are going to like it for many reasons. We're enjoying that. I so want to put it on when I'm on the treadmill. I'm like, no, back to YouTube. So, they're back at school now. But I'm pretty proud of myself the last couple of weeks of getting in So you see all these Instagram things of like, be kind to yourself, manifest, spend your time journaling. And I sit down. So I do my kind of routine is I do my harder session in the evening because it just works with the kids. So it hangs over me all day of what I've got to do. It's nearly always on the treadmill if Bryn's not here. And I sit there and I'm like having a cup of tea and a hot cross bun or something at about 5. No, so 6 o'clock is like, I've got to get on the treadmill at 6 or I've got to go out for this run at 6. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you should be like, be kind to yourself. And I'm like, you worthless little piece. You get your fat ass over on that. And also it's quite American as well because I watch too much Netflix. You get yourself over. You feel tired. You won't know tired. I really make myself laugh by being like, feelings don't mean nothing, woman. Just get over there and get on the treadmill.
Will Goggins, love it.
Real Goggins style in a dialogue as I'm just going to the kids. So do you want carrots and cucumber with that sandwich? It's you get your fat ass over there. Because I always feel like, and I know everyone will like, I feel like I do not have anything left in me after holiday parenting. I don't have anything left in me to now go, and I know it's like, 6, 7, 8 miles. Where is this going to come from? You get over there, you wasted. But the minute I press, not the minute, I give myself 5 minutes shuffling and then I'm like, dot it up. Get that fat ass moving. Here we go. And then I come off and I'm like, where does that come from? Where does that energy come from? But the brain is so powerful, isn't it? Anyway, that really made me chuckle. So I thought I'd share that with you.
Do you have to touch out sometimes on the treadmill? I was on it the other day and my heart rate was drifting and I just rested my hand on the little...
Oh my gosh. I think that's why mine rocks so much because I've done so much or Bryn comes in to ask me something. So I just pull myself forward or I just take a total break and I keep it.
But your heart rate just drops about 4 beats a minute.
Oh, and it feels so much. I've always wanted one of those levers that you see pro athletes that they like get in. It takes their body weight, and I'm always like, end of a hard day. I'd like to
when
get
they're
into
injured,
that.
they come back from injury.
Yeah, I'd like to just go take 80% of my body weight. Not enough. It would go too heavy.
Well, it's interesting, and I'm the same as you. You were saying about mileage. this week. Why do we aim for the mileage when it comes to your total volume for the week, but for lots of our sessions, it
all
becomes time-based?
But my time tends to end up being the same. I can hold a certain amount of hours, but a lot of the hours as well are not quality because I've got the dogs as well. So I reckon at least 3 of my hours are standing by the grass verge going, another wee? Do we really need another wee?
I don't think Rex is such a fan of Lisa when we're doing these love runs, because he can sniff, wee, poo, pretty much as he likes. If he's done one wee, one poo, that is it.
That's
Lisa's
it.
dragging.
That's me. I'm the same with Lisa. I'm like, nope, no time for sniffies, no time for good times. Yeah, same talking Lindy. I'm like, we're out, we're going to get these 5 miles done. Let's go. And Lindy's always like, yeah. Literally, she told her poo into the end. She'd be like, let's go. Tarky's like, we call them the old lady wees. You and Tarky would do well on a long run together.
Rex will cock his leg and nothing actually comes out.
Yeah, nothing comes out. And the kids look and they're like, what's she doing? She's just dribbling.
Excellent.
On that lovely note.
Thanks, Precision Fuel Hydration, for supporting Brew with the Coaches. Their website and newsletter are such good sources of knowledge, articles to read, and YouTube content to binge on too. On YouTube, you can learn how to fuel an ultramarathon, what pro runners carry on race day, and how to nail your marathon prep. I'm all in Precision Fuel Hydration for my London marathon attempt. Going to start with 4 gels and this could be high risk, 1 caffeine gel, probably about 2 hours.
4 gels, the 90 grams.
No, the 30 grams going to go for 4. So it's one every roughly 25. Oh, well, you can nab some from the official sponsors, I think at 2 points during the race. So I don't want to start with 6 or 7 gels. I'll start with 4 gels and take them at halfway, I think. I think the Lucozade, the ones that they are branded with, but that's my strategy.
Do you know how much carbs is in the Lucozade?
I haven't got a clue. It's going to be roughly 20.
So it's only 4 gels. Is that how much carb is in that?
Well, that's 30, 60, 90, 120.
That's
and
enough
then
for
whatever.
An hour, Gary, for you. Oh,
No,
I'm worried about you now. More worried about, oh my God, you're going to be...
Maybe I'll go 5. Maybe I'll slip a 5th one in.
Why don't you take the 90 grams ones? Just take 2 of those.
Massive pouch. No, I don't want that.
Oh my God. Well, if you put a 90 gram and you put 2 next to it, they're going to be exactly the same.
I think
And it's so
3
much
gels
easier.
are lighter.
3
I'm going to
gels.
wait. Whichever's lightest.
Can you weigh it?
Then,
Okay, can you weigh it? But also, you've just got that. 3, you've got to also tear, which I heard tearing the gel packet is really bad for your teeth.
I think that's the least of my worries, my teeth.
I'm worried that's not enough carbs. I'm just going to point that out. I'm worried.
Well, I would
that's not
normally go
enough
for
carbs.
one every 20 minutes. And
Yeah. Why are you carrying less?
Okay, I'll start with 6 gels and pinch some from the
And just
leaching
check how
station.
much is in the Lucozade gel.
I'm going to go rice pudding for my breakfast too. That was after the Elite Trail team. I'm sure they're all over their rice pudding, so I'm going to try that. Whether the little pots...
I love you so much.
I'm not too sure if those little pots have got all the same nutrients as the home cooked rice pudding, but that's what I'll be buying on the Saturday night in Rotherhithe. If you would like to try Precision Fuel Hydration, then use the code TEATIME2025 for 15% off your first order. And if you are a patron, you get a whopping 20% off. Head over to Patreon for all the deets. And if you've got a question for our coaches, then pop over to teaandtrails.com and fill in the Google form via the Brew with the Coaches button on the homepage. This week, here's an interesting question this week. This week, Ross
Some
Garwood
editing from Gary.
would like to know if it's worth getting a coach. I'm considering getting a coach to help me plan training, offer some additional accountability and give some advice as I balance a return from injury in the lead up to some summer races. My question is, what would a coach offer and how much does it generally cost? I want to work out if it is worth it for me. I know the answer to the question will be different for everyone, regardless of where in the pack they are. Do you always offer the same service to your athletes? I enjoy the stats and thinking about a program myself, so might I better continue without a coach? What extra benefits might I expect if I were to invest. Finally, is there anything to consider when choosing a coach? There are some very accomplished athletes that have coaching services. Is this the best place to start? I hope this question helps a few others too. Ross Garwood, yeah, depending on what your goals are, then I would definitely invest in a coach. Russell.
Oh my God, it's such a great question. So there's so much here. I can try and get started, but Eddie and Trish totally jump in because it's lots of questions inside the question. I charge different amounts. So my top rate at the moment is £100 a month, and I will charge less for several reasons. Mainly it's for locals. So I like to coach people nearer to me and encourage people in my area to run. So then you get a local discount. But everybody charges very different prices. There's a really wide range out there. Services are very different for each athlete, and that's really dependent on what they require. Some people like me to check in on them every day just for that accountability. Some people hate that and really don't want me to be annoying them. They just want to get on with their stuff. So you figure that stuff out pretty quickly, and you're just very transparent with the athlete and what they want from you. The stats thing, straight away, I think we probably wouldn't be a great match, Ross, because I'm not big onto stats. I'm much more holistic and long view, and the whole process of being a stronger human and that leading to being a better athlete. Whereas if you chase the stats, I see a lot of people actually trying to game their own watch so that they can improve the VO2 max score on their watch, and it doesn't actually make you a faster runner. All you're doing is learning how to play an algorithm with a watch. So I try to move more onto RPE, rate of perceived exertion, and that might be a deal breaker immediately with a prospective athlete. The main thing that I think that we offer that ChatGPT doesn't is the individualization, and that individualization you're never going to get off AI, and that is because every human is incredibly different. So you're going to have different strengths and weaknesses. You're going to respond really well to some sessions. Some sessions are going to really knock you back, or you just might be unresponsive. And that's what keeps us in a job, really, is that every human is so completely different. You have different life stresses that we have to factor in. You know, you might have a really busy period at work, and that might mean lightening the load in training for that period. You're never going to get that kind of individualized. I'm struggling with that word today. Training.
The beard is really stopping you.
No,
putting your lips
taking
together.
over
Some
my
bushy.
face. So that would be it. It's just the I'm gonna try and think of a different word. Just the unique approach that we will give, and I know Eddie and Trish would definitely do the same. It's going to be a very bespoke, unique schedule for you, and as we get to know each other and we learn what you respond to and what you don't. But the best question that you ask, because there is a glut of online coaches at the moment, I think it really is a bubble that is going to burst, and what to consider when choosing a coach is a great question. And I wouldn't choose, particularly with the run influencers that now realize they can make a quick buck by calling themselves a coach. I would definitely avoid that. So I wouldn't pick it on the basis of that. The things that I would look at would not be how many followers they've got on Instagram, but how much experience they've got in the field, how many years they've been doing it. That's definitely the first place to start. I would ask as well how many people they coach. I know a guy whose name I'd really like to use, but I won't, but he's got his own running club with his own vest, and it's all got very cultish, and he's got something like 140 athletes. And I'm like, really? Wow. How are you going to get a unique bespoke program off somebody who's coaching 140 athletes? It's just too many. So I would think about asking them those questions. How much experience have they got? How long have they been doing it? And then how many people are they coaching? And if they can't answer those things, then, you know, I'd look elsewhere if I were you, Russ.
I would definitely ask those questions because it could be quite seductive. I would love to send Jason Cooper an email, but maybe I wouldn't fit in with his philosophy or
he wouldn't coach you. You
price point. Exactly, I couldn't afford him.
It is crazy, though, isn't it? Like, I mean, I've just taken on board an athlete just recently. He's come from someone we all know who's got a lot of Instagram followers, and the stuff he's pushing out, like, it's just insane. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not terrible, but it's not like.
Yeah.
No, it's basically like a runner's world type.
Eric.
Yeah. Do you know, and again, like it's very easy to kind of knock someone else's plan, isn't it? But the she wasn't getting any she wasn't getting any support, or like, this session isn't quite working for me. Do you think I should do this? Or I'm a bit sick on this day. If you're not going to give any kind of wider piece to that, then what's the point of a coach? You're just basically pushing out a plan and saying, do this week, and there's nothing more there, is there?
This is a slightly different subject, but I think there's a certain person that maybe wants an influencer coach, it's a celebrity coach.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of the philosophy of their coaching.
To say they're coached by that person.
I always find it funny when I have my initial chat with people that might be interested in coaching, is that when I say, have you got any questions for me? They often ask questions about, how I set the training and what's my opinion on periodization or stuff like that. But very, very, never have I ever been asked if I'm qualified.
Yeah.
If I'm qualified if I'm insured. And I always want to answer, because I'm always like, ask me about what I've done. Ask me about like my experiences as a coach. And I think you can learn so much about that. I just want someone to say, tell me about a really great coaching experience you've had, or tell me about a mistake you've made as a coach and what you've learned from it. I do think you can. I think if you're looking for a coach, don't be scared to ask those sort of questions, because if your coach is really passionate about their subject, really knows it, they'll be only too willing to delve into that and to want to discuss it with you, because Russell, Trish and I have all spoken about like this process of onboarding. I hate that word because it sounds like a sort of torture thing, but onboarding new athletes and getting to know them. And I think the more you can be open with athlete coach right from the onset is really important as well. I won't go into great details about my coaching, but I would say, Russ, from your opening paragraph, you are looking for additional accountability. So if I got this as an email for my coaching services, give some advice as I balance a return from injury, and I'd be like, okay, so this is you're injured. So I would say perhaps the plan or your own personal program, just that's where you're looking for a little bit of help. Perhaps you've overdone it a little bit, got the balance. And that's one thing as coaches, is that I like to imagine a big 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle laid out on the table, and you can just sit, if you're the athlete, you can just sit at that puzzle and just look for the best bits, like my kids do. The bits that all fit in are like easy to go, like, oh yeah, I found the boat, mum. Well, yeah, we could all find the boat, but I'm doing the edges. And as a coach, you're overlooking that whole jigsaw puzzle piece. As the athlete, all you have to do is the nice bits, right? I'm just doing that easy run there, I'm doing my treadmill run there, I've got to do my strength there. And the coach is going, oh, hang on a second, remember that bit there, you don't forget that bit, and we'll slot that bit, and that bit didn't work, so we need to change that around. Your coach should be looking at the whole plan. How they then feed back to you, well, personally, I don't think there's no set way for each person. Everybody likes their feedback in a different way. Everybody likes, and I've learned this, some people like the stats, some people don't like the stats. Some people like to work in hours, some people like to work in miles. Some people like to tell you all about what their cat did overnight and why that affected their run. And some people will just go, all fine. You go, okay, great. And I think as part of a coach, you need to, that is the beauty. And that's why I love coaching as well, is that everybody's different. And so that is, as a coach, that is one of your biggest role, is to work out how that person works. So if you're an athlete like Gary, let's say you're looking for a coach, you're not going to fit that coach's mold. Your coach should be fitting themselves to you. But that comes with quite a lot. I think that does come with quite a lot of experience and having confidence in the way that you can give the plan and then how you can work the plan. Because let's face it, that's why there's so many coaches, is because writing the plan is relatively the easy job. It's actually then managing the plan and looking ahead, looking back, looking what worked, having that communication. That's really, really hard. So I think the biggest thing you can do, Ross, in looking for coaches is just talk to people. I think you'll know as soon as you say to a coach, can I have a chat? And then just think, do I get the vibe? Do I get the vibe from this person? And it works both ways. And also, if you do sign up for coach, not forever. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So don't think that, if I do, if I get some coach, you might just want it for a race. It doesn't need to just go, I learnt loads. doesn't have to be something that you sign up forever. But I think that there's some really good questions. There's probably stuff I've missed, Trish, that you can pick up on.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with everything that Russell and Eddie said, and I think generally our coaching kind of principles are the same. The bottom line is there are a ton of good plans that you can get off the internet now, and there are some really good plans out there. But the bottom line of why you get a coach is because those plans, 9 times out of 10, you won't get through those plans without life getting in the way, or you'll get, something will happen. And that's where a coach really kind of earns their keep, particularly when you get an injury. All of us will have been injured numerous times. We've had numerous athletes who have been injured. So being able to look at that puzzle piece and, okay, we'll say, look, maybe you can't run right now. Maybe this is the way forward. A coach is about finding the way forward. Your coach is always in your corner, and they're always objective. That's the key thing. They are the calm in the storm. So as an athlete, I think that's the most important part of having a coach. And if you don't have a coach, you need to have those people around you. For example, I'll call them checkers. So I don't have a coach myself, but I have lots of good friends who I would call checkers, and if I will use them as checkers. So if I need something sounding out, then you have those people who are your checkers to say, well, have you thought about this, mate? Or just to reaffirm
that you're awesome. Is that what you do, Trish?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm a world-class trier still. And so if you're so should you have a coach? Well, I don't think coaching is necessarily about the plan all the time. It's that much wider piece. It's all of the other bits. It's the objectivity. It's about giving you the path when you are not too sure about the way forward. And it's about helping you see the light when it's a bit dark and keeping you on the right track. So those are the key benefits to a coach. And obviously you do get a plan that's bespoke for you. There are a lot of coaches out there. People will range anything in terms of coaching services from like 60 quid to 250 plus pounds a month. So there's a huge range. A lot of those people some will have experience, some won't have experience, some will have quals, some won't have quals. So really it's up to you as the individual to really go into the detail. Ultimately the service is for you. So you want to know all of that stuff that Gary and Eddie said. You want to be asking all of those kind of questions, and you want to be asking multiple coaches. You want to be having conversations with multiple coaches, predominantly to see if you fit with someone. Should you be going with someone who's a good athlete? Well, in terms of ultras, and I think we're kind of agreed on this before, doing an ultra is different from a marathon. It does make a difference if, for example, if you're coaching someone to do the spine and if you've done the spine yourself, that makes a difference. I really do feel it does, because it's the strategy.
You don't know. You
were
there,
man. You were there, man. It's the strategy. It's knowing that the suffering that you're going to have to endure. It's the physical, emotional build for that. It's the specificity of training for that race. I mean, training for Dragon's Back, for example, I think you'd really struggle to coach someone to do Dragon's Back if you've not done that race as or a similar type race, because it's just so intense. There's so many elements to it. So does that matter in terms of have they done the race? Well, it depends on the race. Like for ultras, I think that definitely helps for sure. But, if you're coaching a half or a marathon and you're a decent road runner, well, actually the priority is probably, if you can coach someone on road, you can coach someone on a half and a marathon. So have a look at the type of person you're looking to coach for the event as well. There are so many different coaches out there. You really do have to do your homework. I would 100% go into the detail of what the individual is offering. Not all services are the same. Some people will have, a constant engagement with their athletes. Some people will say you can only have contact once a week, or you book in for calls, or so it's a different relationship. People have different relationships, and often the cost is as a result of that. So if you're asking for, like, say,
sometimes,
yeah. So you really just do have to do your homework. But the bottom line is a coach offers a lot more. If you can afford a coach, it takes a huge amount of weight and off your shoulders and allows you to just focus on the one thing, which is doing the running. But you've got to look at the entire piece of what that person is offering as a coach. Are they offering just running? Are they offering emotional support? Are they offering, strength training
Therapy.
part of that?
It's usually therapy, isn't it?
Therapy.
The other thing, Ross, you do ask, and I get this feeling with your question about you love writing your plan and thinking about your plan, and that's really important. We talk about the plan. I don't just write the plan.
Yeah.
Often they go, I really feel, especially really specific parts of when you get into that sort of like 6 weeks before a big race, like really specificity of what they're doing. It might be marathon training. It might be something like the spine. They go, I really feel I'm missing this jigsaw. I really feel that little, or I really enjoyed that session. So yes, that you might be the overseer of the plan, but a lot of my athletes, I will ask them, do you like this? I'm thinking about this for next week.
It has to be a partnership, doesn't it? They have to be invested in it as well. It has to be a joint piece. And I think that's crucial to any coaching plan, because if the individual is not invested in what you're doing, doesn't see that same path, then it's a waste of time.
Especially when you set a pyramid of 800, 400, 600, 2K, 1K with a 30-second flow in between. If they're not invested in that, they're not going to
Invested in that.
No one's invested in it. That's what you're doing later, Russell.
Oh, shit.
Ross, good luck. Good luck with finding a coach, or good luck with your running and writing your plan. And anybody else that's thinking about going for coaching, or if you're thinking of becoming a coach, woo-hoo, good luck to you. Thanks, Phoenix Light, for sponsoring this week's interview. What a great one it is this week. The best design comes from the actual needs of users. Phoenix takes providing mobile lighting products with excellent performance as the goal, and born for harsh environments as its mission. Never forget where you started, and your mission can be accomplished. I'd like you to shout that at the start of London Marathon when you're under starters orders. Every week we talk about the various head torches, but Phoenix do other products too: bike lights, lanterns, mini torches, and long-range rechargeable LED torches too, all within a 5-year warranty. Don't forget, patrons can enjoy 10% off over at www.phoenixlight.co.uk. And if you want a present for a child that loves being outside, a light. Endless fun.
Is it a male thing? I love a rechargeable LED torch.
Or just anything that's rechargeable, so you can spread the batteries and the chargers everywhere and then go, where's the battery for the so-and-so?
Yeah, I love it. It reminds me of being a kid. I would use a torch as like a lightsaber. I'd pretend I was Luke Skywalker or something like that. Maybe a little bit erotic too. I'm not too sure. But I Googled it. I love
What did you Google?
Why is a torch really popular as a gift for men? And I Googled it, and I've got some stats here.
No way. This is not planned, guys. He actually did this in his own spare time.
This is what I do with all my spare time. Why do men love flashlights so much? Some men get excited about muscle cars, and some get excited about the power of a flashlight. Why? A 2011 survey conducted by Candle Power Forums, a community discussion board forum for portable lighting enthusiasts, dealers and manufacturers, found that 26% of pollers each owned 11 to 20 flashlights, and 34% of them carry flashlights every day. That is
why. Do you
why.
carry a flashlight every day? Do you put your hands on a flashlight every day?
I try my best every day. Flashlight fan Gary from Colorado admits he has more than 300 flashlights, and when asked why,
Gary,
he said, it's just my thing. For instance, I don't carry pocket knives because I can't take them on a plane, but I can take a flashlight.
Maybe we should get Gary on the podcast. Do you have your flashlight? We have our emergency flashlight by the door in case there's...
Under the sink.
I don't know what it's going to do under the sink or by the door. We've got the camping ones. We've got the head torches. We've got head torches of various Kids' head torches, they can do what they want with those. Don't come near my racing ones. We've got racing ones. We've got racing ones over the years because they've really changed in the last 15 years, haven't they? I've still got my epic spine miners one.
Oh, wow. But we don't have a regular torch anymore because the headlamp has replaced everything.
We've got a massive one because we do often get we get a power cut probably once a week. Now it's summer, it's less of a it's less of a deal.
It's all the cups of tea.
And
you keep tripping the big swish.
They're not used to it. They've got to increase the power. 84 trip switches before 6 a.m. Anyway, if all this chat has made you moist for those lights, you're in luck later on. Later on, we have a Phoenix competition. 2 lucky listeners are in with a chance of winning their own flashlight. I much prefer calling them flashlights as well. This week we chat with Northern Traverse female champ Fiona Horsfield. Oh, we loved this, didn't we? Such good energy from Fiona. We hope you enjoy your chat with a living legend as well. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the podcast.
No, my
Super
pleasure.
kind of you. How are you feeling? How's recovery?
Yeah, all right. I think you totally underestimate just how long it takes. So I think the sort of second week, I have been so tired. I've been going for banana naps and just pretty chill, but it's been quite nice. It's been school holidays, so I've not had to do a huge amount.
Do you track your heart rate variability? I always follow that after a big race, and it's even though I might feel okay, the numbers are still, it's like, yeah, we're not quite there yet.
No, I haven't. I never look at heart rate actually, but I can tell you it's probably rubbish.
I've got mine so Winter Downs 200, my heart rate variability didn't come back up until February. So that's 2 months. Ooh, it was sat below. And my resting heart rate was 5-6 beats higher for a good 2 months afterwards.
Wow, goodness.
Good luck.
That's scary.
Yeah, to take. I think it takes 10 weeks. 10 weeks is my experience, my personal experience, and my experience of my clients as well, of you feel okay, but all those you've just done one on yourself, haven't you? You really
it's
have.
It's a long haul, isn't it?
I know, Gary, you've just basically asked, because Gary's doing it next year. He's basically going to use you as a self coach.
There'll be lots of asking for a friend questions today, I think. This week, we are delighted to be joined by Fiona Horsfield, fresh from the 2025 Northern Traverse. Now, Fiona, you recently had an incredible performance, 2025 Northern Traverse, which for our listeners is a 300-kilometre I say 300-kilometre because it sounds more impressive than 185
I think you
miles.
Can go either. I think you...
It's a non-stop race across 3 national parks in the UK. Now, you won the women's race and finished 4th overall, completing the race in an impressive 54 hours, 12 minutes and 21 seconds. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, you won the Montane Spine Challenger North and 2nd at the 2023 Cheviot Goat. I can't find Fiona. We normally have this a pathway for our guests where they may have done a 10K, half marathon, then they hit the trails and then they go and do spine race, these epic journeys. I can't find anything power of 10 from you. You are off grid. You're off the matrix.
I mean, I think I've always run, but it's all been kind of local races and things, and it's always been a way of kind of keeping fit, I guess. I was actually trying to work out my timeline this morning because I knew that we'd probably be chatting about it. But I think I started entering some of the longer distance ones, maybe 21, something like 2021. And then just kind of been building up since then, really. I mean, I think running for me has always been just about literally getting out the front door and keeping fit. But I think my background has always been very outdoorsy. So lots of hill walking and I suppose just outdoor sports. We like to ski in Scotland and go on bothy trips and things like that. I know, Eddie's face.
Well, my kids had the experience of skiing in Scotland. They loved it, but they were like, "It's different, Mum. It's different, Mum." Yeah, a bit rougher.
Yeah. There's a few ice patches and heather patches.
Piste rock. We weren't really sure.
That was my upbringing. Really, was just being outdoors, and it wasn't really so much about sport or racing, and that didn't really feature at all. And then, really, sort of in my 20s and 30s, I would do the odd 10K. I did sort of marathons. I did the London and Edinburgh Marathon, I think, as I was approaching 30, and I felt that was a milestone that needed to be ticked off. After kids happened, kind of mid-30s, then it was like, right, okay, I think I need to just try and do some more races or more things that seemed like a bit of a challenge or a bit of an adventure for me. And that's where it's really just stemmed from. And each year I just seem to add something else into the mix that is either going to terrify me or just push me a bit further in a different way. And so I think it's all really just came from that.
I love those challenges where you kind of think, yeah, I could do it, but you don't really know if you can do it. It's such a big, super big, scary challenge. Well, yeah, before we move on to the Northern Traverse, how is recovery going? Are all your toenails still intact? Any niggles? And yeah, have you been for a run yet?
No, not been for a run. No, I think it'll be a little while off from that. My toenails are currently, I have 10 intact toenails. There are varying stages of disarray. It's a nice rainbow appearance. So I have, loss is imminent. I do have a niggle. I had a niggle. My right knee, kind of quad, started getting pretty sore towards the end of the Northern Traverse, probably the last maybe 40 kilometres or so. I mean, it's much better now. I can get out of bed and actually be able to straighten my leg first thing. So that's good. It'll be, probably another week or so off, I think, before I probably want to try putting any impact through that. But on a whole, apart from being tired and just wanting to kind of fall asleep earlier than my normally prescribed bedtime, I've been okay, I think.
Did you take it into the race?
No, it just happened on, and I don't think there wasn't an injury as such. I think it was just an overuse thing.
Someone had K-taped it, and I thought, I'm not sure that is that the placebo of that. Someone's gone, I don't know what, she's got 40k to go, to stick some K-tape on it and tell her she's going to be all right.
I know, that was at Glaisdale. I know, I was like, right, I'm in and out of Glaisdale. That was the very last checkpoint. I was like, I don't want to spend any time here. My knees sore. I just need to do something. The medic that was there, she sort of said, I'm not a musculoskeletal person. It's like, it doesn't matter. We'll just stick some tape on.
Probably did help a bit. You're probably like, or it just pulled on your leg, so you were like, the pain goes somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. It was just X marks the spot, and it's sore here.
Magic tape. Love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to change the next question that we always ask our guests, because I'm not going to ask you if you've been for a run today, but I'm going to ask you, where are you? What's the view from your window? And what do you do on a normal day? What is your normal? Because I do know that you're involved in the hills, so I'll leave it for you to explain. So, where are you? What's the view from your window? And what does a normal day look like for you?
So where I'm at home, which is near Kinross in Scotland, my view from my window is actually pretty special. We've got a view over Loch Leven, which is lovely. And I've got the Lomans Hills up behind the house. We've got the neighbours' sheep in the garden at the moment. So we've got their little lambs running about, which is gorgeous. So it's really lovely.
I am really loving the lambs. I just can't get enough of them. And when you run past them, they're like, hello.
I know.
And then they're like, Mom, what is this?
But I'm pretty lucky with the view. I don't think we could probably better that much. What do I do on a normal day? Well, bits and pieces. I am a GP, so I do have a proper job, but I do work as a locum and very part-time. I've got 2 kids who are 8 and 10, so I'm kind of dotting about with them a lot of the time as well. I volunteer in the local mountain rescue team as well.
Do you give a slot to the mountain rescue team of like, I can be on call at this time and then have a beeper, or is it like anytime?
It's just anytime, yeah. So you have, so if it goes off, you can respond no. So obviously if you're away or whatever, or your work and you can't get out of work, then you can respond no. But otherwise, it can just be anytime. Is
it a daily response? Do you get a call daily?
Yeah.
Wow.
So basically on my phone, it's got, I think my mum and the mountain rescue can override my sleep function. No one else gets a look in.
I love that. And then when you get the call out and you say yes, is it like whoever gets on the scene first and they go, right, we need a doctor, a so-and-so.
So when you respond, if you can attend, then whoever's the sort of incident manager will look at the people who are coming and then send you off. Usually there's a kind of a point you'll get together at. But where I'm based, so I'm probably the furthest east of our kind of patch over by the Lomans. So often if there's anything on, I suppose it's on my patch on the Lomans or, behind you.
I'm seeing like sort of Fireman Sam, like that's my patch, here I come.
Yeah, exactly. Not nearly as cool, but but we do get, they're not big hills. I think West Lomond behind us is about 500, just over 500 metres, but slips and trips, it happens anywhere.
Slips and trips, I like that. I went up Munro with the kids the other day on one of the beautiful days, and I every time when I see people like, it's pretty steep, and because it's dry it was really slippy, and people going up in like the most unsuitable, like no clothes because it's hot at the bottom, no grip on their shoes, like no food. I'm like, where's your snacks? Where's your drink? Like, I just think people underestimate so much. There almost needs to be like at the bottom at the car park, if you go start walking this track, please tick all these things. Hit list. If you don't have these, please just alert mountain rescue now. So you say you've got the hills right behind you. Is that where you do most of your running, up and out the door and up into the hills?
Yeah, pretty much. And you can go from the front door and not have to go on a road at all. So a lot of my Northern Traverse training was literally from the front door. Lots of hill repeats in terms of you could get good elevation, but there was a lot of up and down to get anything meaningful. But still, it's pretty good that you can get that without going in the car.
So you've had a little journey with the Spine, the Northern Challenger, and then into the Northern Traverse. What pulls you towards the Northern Traverse?
I think it was the timing. So the Challenger, I did it in summer. So that was June last year. And then I was really looking for another big one this year. But I couldn't be bothered having to train for a very long time. So I did one later in the year. I wanted to just kind of get it ticked off. And to be fair, I had a couple of options I was looking at. I was looking at the Great Across Scotland, but I think that's September, and then the Northern Traverse. And I really like the idea of the sort of A to B element of it. I hadn't done an area event before, but I'd heard really good things about it. But yeah, it just appealed on several levels.
What people would be interested in this is like you've done the North Challenger and the Northern Traverse. Are they comparable in any way? Because mileage-wise, they're very similar, actually.
Very similar, and the time I took to complete them was not wildly dissimilar either. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe the Challenger North was maybe more difficult, I think. But I don't know if that was just also my first proper multi-day event. So I don't know if it was just the kind of the trauma of that. But the terrain is very different. I guess we were lucky this year with the Northern Traverse in that it was so dry. So, and I know a lot of that terrain could have been horrendously muddy, boggy at another time, but it did make it very runnable. That was probably the biggest difference. The Spine Challenger North, it didn't feel like you were going on as many sort of roads and flat sections. It's a ever-changing landscape, but there's a lot of climbing, and then it's not technical, but it's just not fast-moving terrain, is it? Yeah, and you've got that big section as well. Like though there's big sections in Northern Traverse, I think like that big section over the Cheviots at the end, that is such a long way of exposure by yourself. But whereas the Northern Traverse, it's almost like it gives you the dragon at the start, and then it's sort of like it does get easy is not the word. No, but it's sort of gentler in a way, isn't it?
Gentler, isn't it? And the brain can turn off, and you can sort of like, you just got to keep moving, whereas that just throw it that Pennine Way just keeps like someone standing there like trucking stuff.
But I find a lot of these other trails, they're a lot more remote than the lakes. I'll run in the moors quite a lot. Similar, it's not the same kind of terrain as the lakes, but goodness me, we could be out for 5 hours and probably see one person. A lot of the lakes, especially that Northern Traverse route, it's quite busy. So even though it's savage, the terrain, you're not on your own. Like the Cheviots, again, apart from race day, you could probably go all day there and maybe see one or two people. What does asking for a friend, this is the first of the asking for a friend questions, what does training look like for you? You know, it's very conventional. If you're going to train for a 5K, 10K, a marathon, 50Ks, and even 100-miler, there's lots of plans and lots of advice out there. But when you go to the 200-miler and 200-mile plus, it's I think it's a bit of a Wild West, to be honest, and self-discovery. What did your Northern Traverse training look like?
So I think my training has definitely stepped up the last couple of years. I think just as I've started to look at these bigger races, and I've actually started being coached, which was a sort of a new thing for me. I met Jill Stephen, who was a Scottish hill running champion a couple of years ago, and she did my sort of first set of coaching for me when she was absolutely brilliant, and got me on to sort of strength and conditioning and stuff as well, which I hadn't really done before. And then last year I started working with Meryl Cooper, who's a Scottish GB athlete. He's lovely. And then again, she's just kept, I suppose, just given me my what I need to do. It's like the recipe, isn't it? Whereas I didn't really know how to sort of put all of these sessions together during the week. So that's just been so helpful. I think I'm relatively low mileage compared to a lot of other people. So I think my top weeks would still be maybe, they'll all be under 100k, sort of maybe 90-ish tops, but with a reasonable amount of elevation. So I do quite a lot of hills in that. Usually do definitely one sort of hill repeat session during a week or some sort of speed thing, but usually hill repeat and 1 or 2 longer runs during the week. And then everything else is kind of easy, but maybe easy with some strides within that. Probably run 5 days a week, roughly.
This is always quite a common thing, especially with the trails. Would your longer run maybe mimic the elevation profile of the race?
Yeah, so certainly looking at the Northern Traverse, my big day was essentially trying to get as much elevation as I could do and trying to mimic those first climbs in the Lake District.
Yeah.
And most of it with a pack, when I, trying to carry the kind of the heavier side of the pack that I was potentially could have been carrying. So yes, I had some big hill days, and then sort of a back-to-back run, usually the same the weekend, but much shorter.
Would you recce the course? Eddie did a huge, my goodness me, was it like 4 days you spent on the course, going from west to east? Did you ever spend any time on the course?
As many times as possible.
I did recce bits of the course actually, and I would recommend it. I mean, my memory for places, as it turns out, is terrible. So actually, if you, it's like I could have recce'd a bit, and then I go back and go, oh, I have been over here, but I don't really remember what this section was like. And I did it in a really sort of jigsaw pattern, so there was no kind of set, A to B with my recceing. But from a point of view of knowing a bit of the terrain to expect, and even things like those are definitely the wrong shoes to wear. These are, I need something more cushioned or whatever. I think was really helpful. I recce'd the Lake District, and it was pouring with rain, absolutely pouring, and it was like coming off Patterdale, and it was like running down a river, and the waterfalls are blowing up the way, and so
then on the day you were like, I've never been here.
Yeah, exactly. I've never been here, and where's all this water? I really could do with some of that now. Like from a navigation point of view, I don't think you need to recce it. Like it's really well, it's a really well signpost route, and if you've got your GPX file or whatever on your watch, it was really straightforward.
If people could only recce one bit, I'm just thinking, what would you? I would probably say the end, just because it's like it feels from like Blakey Ridge to the end, where you lose your mind. Yeah, like. Yeah. You won't, but most people would then go, oh yeah, I've been here before, I'm okay. Do you know what it's like? The lake, if you had like, I'd go like the Lake District bit after Ennerdale, or even like from Rosswaite, do Rosswaite to Shap. Because again, that bit from Kidsey Pike to Shap, you can lose your mind a bit, can't you, as well? And go.
So there's that first bit. Not quite a conga line, but you're not going to be left on your own and kind of lost.
You need to be prepared, Gary, though. You are going to be left on your own and lost in the wilderness.
Well, you're right.
There are people everywhere.
I'm very familiar with the mowers. I've done lots of the hard mowers races. So the Cleveland Way is quite familiar. But like Eddie said, once you leave Blakey Ridge to Robin Hood's Bay, that's a whole chunk that I've never really done. So that's something I would definitely be nailing. You mentioned about the rain and all that, or your recce's, different weather on the day. How'd you cope in the heat?
Really rubbish.
Oh my goodness.
Essentially, I'd come through a Scottish winter, and that's where my bulk of training had been. So, for me, a hot day was like 5 or 6 degrees, and I could cope with taking, putting layers on and taking layers off. But come the race, I mean, I don't actually know what the temperature was, but it was sort of probably 16, 17 degrees maybe. And there's nowhere to go when you've got shorts and t-shirt on. There's not much else you can do. So I really struggled, to be honest. The main thing for me was fueling, I think, was wanting to eat or drink, or drinking was fine, but it was really wanting to take on any form of food whilst I was trying to work relatively hard and move. And that was my big struggle. So I think day one, I mean, I was okay. I did feel quite nauseous at various points, and I do think that was the heat. And I had my coach's voice in my head saying, just slow down on the hills, slow down on the hills. So I was like trying, but it was really hard. You're trying to eat a bar or something, and it just is not going anywhere.
And it's just sitting, you're like, oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
The effort in the heat, that just adds a little bit of jeopardy to the mix there. But then to kind of flip the coin during the evenings, I imagine, was it frosty during the nights?
Oh, it was lovely. Do you know, it was, so as soon as the evening came, I was so happy. It was just like the temperature dropped. It was clear. There was no wind. There was no rain or anything like that. And you could actually just move and you could eat. And I actually was so contented. That first night was just perfect in terms of temperature and being able to just move quite well, I think.
What was your plan? Did you have a race plan?
My race plan was that I just wanted to try and move as efficiently as possible and not go off super silly, kind of just keep that holding back, just try and keep comfortable, but keep just moving really well. When I did the Spine Challenger North, I was so faffy on like just at the checkpoints and just things. And I realized I could make some decent gains if I just actually sorted myself out a wee bit better. It was just productive with the time whenever I was stopping rather than trying to, I don't know what I was doing.
Especially if it's your first one. You need that. You need the faff time to like just let the body and the brain just because it's a lot. Just process it. Lovely Leanne, did you share it? She went out super hard. Did you share some miles with her? Were you like, geez, because she did have like maybe like 3 or 4 hours over.
She had a massive lead on me.
Tan Hill, I looked at it was about 2 hours at Tan Hill, and then obviously Lordstones, you'd split that. I think you were about 3 hours ahead at Lordstones, so something enormous has happened over those miles.
I mean, I had absolutely no dreams of even getting a placing in this race, so I was this is all amazing, but I didn't even think that I was going to catch Leanne. I just I didn't see her for dust from the start, that she was just off, and that was her. She was away. I don't really know her story. I don't really know what happened, but when I passed her just before Ingleby Arncliffe, I think it was, she was struggling a bit. She was moving really slowly, and I think she was at the point of possibly even dropping out.
It kept going, the bed sign kept coming up for her, and I was like, I'm just feeling, come on.
But she was so sweet. She was so lovely, and stopped. I was running with another guy, Richard, at that point, and we sort of stopped and went a little way with her. But she was so sweet. She was just like, you guys just go on. I've spoken to Shane, and I'll get to the petrol station and see what I want to do. So we had a very short journey together, and she made an amazing recovery. I think. Yeah.
I think I was like, there's only 2 ways this is going, and then we're going to speak to her in the podcast because there's some lessons to be learnt there of like I really admire that bravery of going off. She went off hard, like that's
she held it for so long.
It's stupid, but like huge kudos.
I think it's not stupid. You got to roll the dice. I think
with that sort of race, like if you want to do well, it is a case of like you go off hard and you hold and it might. But to pull it round, I'm really interested to see how you pulled it around. And I could see, I was so obsessed, Fiona. I was looking at your average, you can see how fast the dot is moving, and you were like steady 8 kilometre an hour pretty much most of the way. And poor Leanne, there was some 3s, some 4s, and I thought, but then she came back, and then she was always a little bit slower than you for the rest of the racing. But your race from there was very strong to the end.
Was that 8 kilometre, was that a tactic? Because we're quite invested in this for next year. that third night really is completely unknown territory for me. Was that basically a kilometre would mean you didn't do 3 nights?
I honestly had done no maths about this at all. And it was very much in my head that I would like to finish before the third night, because I think that's just a really scary place to go.
So I totally agree. You finished without meeting the demons.
Yeah. And I'd met my family at, where were they? Oh, the Dales Bike Centre. And I don't think they cope very well with this coming and going. So my daughter was in floods of tears, and it was always like, so I wasn't sure whether this was actually a good thing, this kind of, I think it was a mutual support, but I was like, right, I need to actually just get, I need to get back. But to be fair, by that point, I probably couldn't have shuffled much quicker if I tried. So it was, my pace was whatever it was. And I think that's maybe just clicking into that kind of endurance zone where, I felt quite comfortable, but I don't think I could probably have pushed it much harder at that point.
If Leanne had come back past you screaming at 10 kilometres an hour and you'd been...
that would have been hers.
Yeah. Were you able to eat then as well as the race went on?
As long as it wasn't hot, I was actually okay at eating. And it definitely got better as the race went on. I was able to take more at the checkpoints and things.
What's your fueling? Oh, she's smiling.
The
doctor's going to diss
I am
them.
a snack queen. Whenever I go for a run with people, they're always like, "You've got so much food." But I do try to eat as much as possible. I had a timer in my watch sort of every half hour, which was a good prompt, but I think I was probably trying to just nibble probably more frequently than that. I used Tailwind in my water, or Active Root, just to some carbs and electrolytes. And then I had a bag of like crisps and nuts, and I had a bag of like sweeties and chocolate, and then I had bars. I had hot cross buns, which I think, and Soreen, they were the winners actually, I think, because they could go down generally
whatever.
very well.
And there's a moisture in them that we don't question, whatever it is, some sort of oil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just don't ask the question and just eat it.
Yeah, I'm curious with all of the pace, and it sounds like it worked out perfectly for you, but there's a point in the race which could be quite troublesome if you hit there at a certain time of day where it's A19 can be quite a busy road.
Yeah.
What time of day was it then?
It was the night time, so it must have been maybe like 11 p.m, something like that, and it was quite quiet, which I was so thankful for, because it's a fairly terrifying road. But yeah, it's such a sort of epic part of it, isn't it? The petrol station, and there was like the two.
Did you pop into the petrol station?
I did. I felt I kind of needed to, and I went and got a coffee. Oh my goodness, that double espresso, flat white or whatever it was, powered me up the next section.
There is rumour they're building the footbridge because it is this recognised trail. I heard that last year. Obviously, it hasn't happened this year, so fingers crossed. That'll be a big addition to the route.
Yeah, definitely, very sensible.
And once you've gone past Leanne, are you now running scared, or are you still just doing your own thing?
No, that definitely put a bit of oomph up me, definitely, and that got me moving. That gave me a bit of interest actually for that sort of long road section. So I thought, okay, right, I need to try and. Sorry, Leanne, but I did feel like I needed to put a bit of distance between the two of us in case she made a miraculous recovery. So I definitely tried to move a bit better after that.
Are you checking your phone to see where these people are?
No, but I did speak to my husband from time to time, so he would kind of give me a heads up, and he'd be like, okay, she's on the move again, or you've got a bit of
it's getting me PTSD. Oh my God, I'm like, husband going, she's a kilometre an hour faster than you need to move. Leanne chasing me as well. She's moving really well. You're not moving well at all.
I know. But he would say things like, he says, you've got a 5-hour lead or whatever. And I just wouldn't believe him. I would be like, yeah, but you can't do your maths. So can you just double check? Because I don't believe you. But I definitely felt more uncomfortable after that.
Well, I think there's a lot more running as well. Almost it's smoother. And with the bogs not being boggy, presumably you didn't even get if they're boggy, you're forced to walk. And you were like, actually, I can keep trotting over these a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
How much sleep did you get? What was your sleep strategy going into this?
It wasn't what I thought I was going to do. So I had planned on trying to sleep at Richmond, just because I think a lot of people I'd sort of heard on a grapevine that was a kind of good strategy to employ. But I'd actually got to Kirby Stevens, which was the second check point that we could sleep at, I think. And I hit there about 5 a.m. I actually had to sleep there. So they were setting up for the Dales Traverse, yeah, they were about to set up for there, and I said I could have a sleep in the hall if I was out the hall in about an hour's time. So I thought that's a perfect opportunity just to get my head down. And I was actually quite worried about going into second day with the heat again, and thought that if I was really tired, plus it was the heat, I would end up moving really slowly. So I thought an hour at that point, but it was probably about 45 minutes all in all would set me up. So that was fine. And then I actually felt okay until second night. And then when I got to Lordstones, and that was probably about 1 a.m, I really wanted to have a proper sleep. And I thought I had enough lead on the other girls that I could probably get away with it. But it was freezing. It was so cold up there, and it's all intense. And actually, I did need to have a sleep, but I think it probably wasn't the most efficient use of time doing what I did, because you have to get your sleeping bag and everything out. And then I probably only slept for about 20 minutes because it was so cold, and woke up shivering. And I thought, well, this is, I'm not sure this has actually been particularly helpful. And then I left feeling like I hadn't really had a rest, and still felt like I needed to have a kind of trail nap a wee bit further on. But I don't know, to be honest, how I would have done that differently, because I did feel I needed to sleep at Kirby Stevens. And I certainly wasn't ready for another sleep when I got to Richmond.
Did you nap then at all from Lordstones to the finish?
I had 1 5-minute kind of nap. It was just the most surreal experience. So I was like, okay, I've heard other people do this. I'll have a shot. And they just sort of lay down on the side of the track. And at that point, it was still dark, and you could just hear all the grouse. They'd all been waking up. So you had all this, and they make the most ridiculous sounds, don't they? Like they're so, and so when you're kind of in this little dreamlike world, and you just hear all the grouse around you, and it was freezing. So I'd set an alarm for 5 minutes just so that I didn't kind of slip into hypothermia or anything, and listen to the grouse for 5 minutes and then trotted on.
Are you not worried when you wake up? Was it David Parrish? He was worried that he'd maybe start running the wrong way on the Cleveland Way.
It was, I mean, you could totally do it. But it was okay. At that point, you could actually see, it was actually really beautiful, because I could see the sunrise was starting to happen over the moors, so I knew I was kind of heading in the right direction. And then you had the moon was on the other side, it was kind of a reddish glow at that point. Magic. So, I mean, it's so special being out at that time, but it's a long section, that one, just getting through there.
2 nights with not a lot of sleep, hallucinations. Surely you had some spectacular hallucinations.
No, so disappointingly not.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So no, I haven't experienced this yet. So I need to try harder. Maybe I need to go into that third night and really to get the sense of it. I suppose it's different, but it was definitely felt a bit spooky going up onto was it the Wainstones? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Wainstones, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was really dark when I was up there.
Do you get nervous at being out in the dark?
I'm okay, I think. Certainly in a race setting, I'm not worried about it. I think because, you're being watched, aren't you? You're not, in a good way, you're not being, it doesn't feel unsafe. I think training and things, I never used to like going out in the dark at all. And I just wouldn't. But now, I mean, well, you live in Scotland, half of your year you've got to run in the darkness. So I've just got used to it and running with a head torch. I actually really enjoy it now, just going out when you're not expecting to see people.
And that's really nice to hear, because I know a lot of women are really worried about these longer races of the time in the darkness and feeling. And I don't think I've ever spoken to any woman that's actually been scared in the race, because one, you're so sleep deprived. But also, you're right. You got that tracking, and like Leanne found out, if something goes wrong, they're on you. They're on you.
Absolutely.
When I was going up that 40% climb on that bit of road, and I kept falling asleep on the road, and I kept stopping, and they drove out to come and check.
Okay.
What are you doing, Eddie? So
that hill's horrendous.
Yeah, that hill's bad, isn't it? But they're on it. There's different people watching you all at the different, seeing you. They pass you on. Okay, she's coming. They're passing her on. She's now. It's like a sort of space. She's coming.
Chills that. Is that the one? Is it Gromont, the village? Is that the hill out of Gromont?
I think
it's got a sign at the bottom, and it's at 33% incline or something. And that hill goes on for about
20 miles.
Oh, goodness, at least.
Do you reckon if we did it tomorrow, Fiona, we'd be like, oh, that was a few minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Embarrassing.
But it goes on and on and on.
Was all that kind of terrain, though, a welcome change from the Vale of York, which is like relatively flat?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, anything that you could actually legitimately walk. Yes, exactly. There was far too much running in that sort of last third.
You'd get to a gate on that bit between Richmond and Lawson, don't you? And you're like, oh, just take my time through this before I have to get going again.
Yes,
or a car would come and it'd be like, you go, and you go, no, you go. You go.
Did you ever, I don't want to kind of drag the mood down, but did you ever think about a DNFing or any major low points?
No, I think my lowest point was actually coming out of Rosthwaite, sort of right on the first day, right in the heat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just because it had hit there and I knew I needed to get some food, but I just looked at all this stuff and I just thought, oh no, I don't want to eat any of that. And it was so warm and I was starting to feel just a bit sickish and not brilliant. So I picked up, I sort of had my little cup and I filled it up with the Coke and drank a few cups of Coke. And then I got so a couple of bits of takeaway pizza, which I just shoved in my bag. And then I nibbled my way through them on the way up the climb. And I'd stopped, stopping at rivers and putting water in my head. And Laura Swanson Rebellion was like hopping past me at that point. And it's like, it's fine, I'm okay. I'm just
fine, just leave me here, leave me.
And I did feel pretty rubbish, and I just thought, oh, this is going to be a hard slog. But I got out of it, once I started eating again, and I just nibbled my way through the pizza, and then I had a sort of caffeine gel, which was maybe a brave move, but then I felt actually pretty good, and it was okay. But I think it's not being able to eat is just the worst, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to.
It affects everything. It's not even just a physical, is it? It's just the mental.
And then when you watch beeps, it's like, oh my goodness, not again. I've got to try and eat, and it's going to make me
I'm going to pretend sick. I'm eating, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Really. Tell us about the finish. How was that run round the last bit of coast path, and then fine.
That's another very long section, isn't it? Oh, it was so good though. And I'd been running with this guy, Rory, for that sort of very last section, which was...
He had a super
lovely
race too, actually. I was like invested in him too, because he was so close to you a lot of the time as well. But he finished really strong as well.
Yeah.
Kudos, Rory. Yeah.
So the two of us were kind of hobbling down that last section. We each had our sort of, I couldn't run on the flat and my leg didn't like going downhill either. So it was making the last bit of the race really interesting.
Oh, because it's so steep up and down. Was it, when I did it was really muddy and I had to hold the fence to pull myself up. Was it dry?
It was just dry, yeah. But I was sort of, I'd found that I could fast waddle. I could do this kind of fast waddle, which was probably not wildly dissimilar to my running pace at that point anyway. So I could do that. But that was really nice being with Rory towards the end. And then we sort of come out onto the coast and it's just amazing. You could see, it's a long way, but you could see where you needed to get. And then there was one of the photographers was out waiting for me. And at that point I hadn't been running. And he's like, I was like, I can't really run. He's like, okay, I'll just take some photos of you and I'll just kind of join you to the end. And I think I've seen one photo. I got a big grimace on my face.
He's looked at the photos and he's gone, this isn't how we want to. Yeah, the winner of the female winner would go, no.
I know. But it was amazing. It was so special. And like I say, I had absolutely no ambition, and it was kind of my wildest dreams.
That's incredible. And what were the kids' reactions?
They were going wild.
I've seen them with the flags. They were like, my mom is a superhero.
So it was so lovely. They were all down. They wouldn't normally be there for a race. It was just that it was school holidays and we made a wee holiday out of it. And my mum was there as well. So yeah, just really lovely, really special.
Oh, so you spent some time in Romruddsby afterwards. That is not a friendly place when your legs are sore.
Really not. So we had the rest of the week there and it was amazing. Obviously the weather's been so lovely, but oh my goodness, the hills and the stairs, the steep staircases. And we had this holiday house and the kids had already claimed the first bedroom, up the first flight of stairs. And I basically kicked them out. I got into the holiday house. It's like, that's my bed. I'm not going any further.
Mum will be out in 24 hours.
Kit, talk a bit about kit, shoes, jacket, hydration vest, your sock combo. Yeah, also, did you It's quite common that people size up for later on in the race with the shoes. Did you do stuff like that?
I didn't size up. I mean, I do size up generally anyway. I think I go up. So I have really big feet, as it turns out. So I wear a size 9 trainer, and I probably might have yeah, I know. You can't even get them in women's shoes. And I'm normally an 8. So I do size up anyway. I wore Innovate shoes. I wore trail talons for the first section up until Richmond.
Yep.
And they were brilliant. And then I changed to trail flies for the second bit, just because it was it was a lot more sort of road running and things. I think for a race this year, I think you could have got away with something very cushioned for the whole way.
I think my Cliftons could have done that race this year.
Shoes, yes.
So you didn't need much grip. Socks, I've kind of always tried to wear liner socks, like an NG liner socks, and then something like Dry Max on top. And I did wear that just because that's what I was used to doing. But again, it's probably a bit warm, to be honest, for doing that. And then I just changed to thinner and NG socks for the rest of it. And then all this lovely winter wet gear I have, I didn't really need to use. But I did, to be fair, I did have most of my layers on coming up Lordstones. I got really cold up there, actually. So I did actually have a lot of stuff on at that point. And then, you're stripping off as you go. And I'm having a massive pack to carry for the last bit.
Yeah, because most people are wearing all their stuff. You were too fast, Fiona. If you'd enjoyed that third night, you'd have had it all on.
But the temperature differences were quite wide. You had to have it all.
Can we ask yet? Any other plans for 2025?
I haven't signed up for anything, so I think I'll just see how it goes, really. Yeah. Do some stuff with the family, I think, over the summer. So try and get them out doing a bit of hills and things, and just rather than it all being about me. But what's
see. On the bucket list still? Then is there anything?
I've got the Winter Spine race next year.
I was going to ask.
Yes. So, I mean, I was following it. I actually was helping out at one of the checkpoints this winter, and which was brilliant. It was really lovely to see sort of the front runners come through and just in their sort of journey. But I suppose it was the fact that there was only 9 female finishers this year, I think. And I thought, oh, come on, I need to get involved. I need to be part of that. Yes, exactly. Hopefully. So that's next year. And then I think whatever else I do this year will be just kind of.
Yeah, so you don't really want to do it very much at all, because from once the kids are back at school, that's your training block then till Christmas, really, isn't it? So you don't want to do something mega in the summer and then be exhausted. You kind of need to rebuild and then rebuild the training and then have a nice summer and then get your backpack on.
Cheviot Goat again?
Yeah, so I've got a rollover place from Cheviot Goat from last year. So unfortunately, it was cancelled at the very last minute.
Weather, wasn't it?
Oh, it was horrendous. It was one of the storms. So so I hope to do that again in December. I have a place from that, and that's a brilliant race. That one. I mean, that's wild.
You can't spend enough time on the Cheviots if you're spine training. I think it's just where you should live. Probably move the family there.
May as well.
Entries are selling fast for all the traverses, actually. I saw on the Rio Events website. Any tips for somebody who's curious for one of these big self-sufficient challenges, if that's on their bucket list?
I mean, I think it's doable. I think it's absolutely doable. I think you just, I suppose, putting the time in for strength work, definitely, and as well as the time on feet. I mean, I do think that's probably the biggest thing that I added in this year was doing some proper strength work, but it's also doable. And my brother, he did the Lakes Traverse, which was really nice because I ran a little bit with him as I sort of found him on the course. And he lives in London, and he doesn't get to do a huge amount of ascent. But so it's all doable, I think, if you want to do it. But it's brilliant routes. It really is. These challenges, I think, are there to be taken.
All of these big routes look fantastic, but there's something about the Northern Traverse, that coast to coast, the pebble. Did you carry a pebble?
I didn't. Actually, it was quite funny. So I got too distracted at the start trying to pin safety pins and bib numbers on, and I did it all upside down the wrong way around. So there was a bit of faffing at the start doing that. And then the kids were fairly feral. So we're just trying to sort them out. And then just towards the end, my husband phoned me. He's like, you need to find a stone. He says, they've just photographed someone coming through and they've asked to see a stone. So me and Rory were there sort of, kilometres from the end trying to pick up a stone that I could pass off as something that I'd carried. Anyway, I'm the worst liar. I didn't have the heart to pass this off as a stone that I'd carried all the way. So I just dipped my toes in the sea instead.
Yes, I took my toes. That should be good enough for you, Shane, frankly. Just won your race for you.
If I remember, Eddie, my plan is to go to Robnod's Bay and get 2 stones and then take them to St. Bede's. I'll give you 1 and then we can take them back to Robnod's Bay. Does that make sense?
Oh, I love it. So like a kind of like environmental.
Take it back home too. Yes.
Yeah, we're taking it back home rather than moving, because I've already moved a bit of the coastline. I better not move anymore. Don't give me a massive stone though. Here's yours, rock. Eddie.
Whoops. Quick 5 time. Any more questions before we do the quick 5?
No.
Okay. I'm not too sure you remember, actually. I know people don't like to eat straight away after a big race, but yeah, do you remember what your first kind of proper meal was after the Northern Traverse?
I got served pasta and roast vegetables with sauce in bed in Robin Hood's Bay with an alcohol-free beer, which was just perfect.
Oh,
living the dream. I love it.
The dream.
Do you have a favourite movie genre?
Ooh, not really. Something funny, I would say. Definitely not scary. I'm a real wimp. So.
Do you like the superheroes? Do you like Marvel and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, through the kids then, to a point, yes.
But they're so loud and noisy, and I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. And then you get distracted and you come back in, you're like, what the hell? What is this? And it's all like loud.
There's a new one coming out. They've literally got all of them in it. Like there's a big massive load of seats with all the different actors. Okay, so you're transported into the Marvel universe. What would be your superhero power?
Flying, it has to be.
Yeah. Northern Traverse without having to put your feet down. You'd just be like,
amazing.
Mustn't go over 10 kilometres an hour.
Exactly. Nobody will know.
Eddie and I turn up outside your house, knocking on the door. We are famished. You need to rustle us up your signature dish, Fiona. What's it going to be?
Probably going to be pasta, just because that's all we eat. Would you like pesto? Would you like pesto?
Oh, I love a pesto.
Easy.
Maybe mac and cheese.
Just peas, mac and cheese. So pretty much 3 times a week in our house. Then I put it in Tupperware, and then the next lunch they go, "What's for lunch?" And I'm like,
"Well,
pasta from last." Sometimes I go, "But Mum, we had pasta for lunch." When I go, "What we're having for tea?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, it's all good." You don't have an opinion. You just get on your plate.
I never tire of eating mac and cheese. That is an incredible dish.
Never. If only it was like, everybody likes it. Put some peas in. The veggies can have it veggie. The meat eaters can slice up all their bits in it.
Do you have a bucket list race, Fiona?
I guess the spine race has got to be the bucket one at the moment. And then whether that's something which, I suppose if I do it and don't complete it, then that might be the kind of thing
that's not an option.
Well, I'm hoping not. Not.
Just get that K-tape out again.
Exactly. Just stick it wherever.
Are you hoping for full spine weather?
Oh, it's got to be full spine weather. You've got to feel like you've done it.
You want the photos, especially because you disappointed the photographer so much at the finish.
Exactly. I once
they like those, the spine media team, they like the toast, the faces, the goggles, the throat. They'll be like, "Get up, Fiona, she looks incredible."
It is spectacular. Last question from me. Every week we share the podcast over on Instagram. You get to choose the Instagram story music, Fiona. What's it going to be?
I would choose, there's a band called Beluga Lagoon. Have you come across them? No. Scottish band who you should, it's amazing. The musician Andrew, he's so talented. So I would go for Beluga Lagoon and a song called Isla.
How do I spell
that? Up now.
Isla. Absolutely brilliant running song. So when you're out in the hills, you just sneeze away.
Beluga Lagoon.
Yeah.
I'm putting it on I spelt beluga.
When you listen to it, you'll know exactly why. Exactly. So you've got that in your head coming up.
You can tell you're like, this Eddie's just going to love this.
Did you listen to music or podcasts during the Northern Traverse? Have any distractions?
Yeah, a bit of both really. So overnight I did music. The second night I tried to just listen to anything to try and distract me. But I tried to listen to an audiobook and it was just annoying me. I just couldn't focus enough. But music generally, yeah, had some nice playlists made up.
Yeah, it's funny that I'm the same. I think an audiobook, I get quite invested in it. And with a podcast on music, I can still kind of run along quite merrily. But an audiobook, yeah. I'm with you there. Well, it's been a treat, Fiona. You've whetted my appetite even more for this race. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure sharing the last hour with you. I can't wait. Yeah, and good luck. My goodness me, good luck with the Cheviot Goat. And then the winter
Thank you so much.
too.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Enjoy your recovery. You were fab to follow. Well done.
Thank you.
Enjoy the next few weeks' recovery and maybe meet you out in the hills one day soon.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Harrier Trail Running, for sponsoring our Strava Club and the Tales from the Trails section. Harrier is the UK's fastest growing brand for trail runners, providing specialist kit designed for superior fit, comfort and function with the best customer support. Check them out for race vests, waterproofs, poles and other trail essentials at www.harrierrunfree.co.uk, where you can also download your free copy of How to Run an Ultra Guide. Use the code T10 for 10% off site-wide, or check out their brilliant trail bundles for a special 20% off. We mentioned last week about the Harrier Pro Trail team. Well, yeah, as this episode goes out, Sana Duthie will be attempting to break her own FKT record on the Pembrokeshire Coastal Path. She will be deep in the trenches. Yeah, I wonder if she listens.
It's a dreamy place.
I wonder if she tunes. That'll be the low. Highs and the lows. Good luck, Sana. First up on the Strava Club is Joseph Trotter. That's a great name for a runner, isn't it? Trotter. 69.2 miles for the week with the longest run of 30.4 miles. And whoa, 20,310 feet of vert.
Quads.
Joseph's doing one of the UTS races, 2 big UTS recce's there each day, over 8 hours on the trails. I wonder if he felt the next day.
Day after you've done like 2 or 3 big days and you just eat all the food. You don't have to go running. You just stay by the fridge with your flashlight.
But Joseph, he lives local to me, actually. He's from the northeast. I don't know him. Lots of cycling commute. That is a great way. If you want to save some cash, keep fit, and it's awesome for the environment. If you could do a run commute or a cycle commute.
Gary, what are you doing? Getting sponsored by some sort of bike commute?
Sustrans are going to sponsor me. Next up on the Strava Club is Painted Runner. 56.1 miles for the week. Longest run of 50.1 miles and 1,000. I don't know if that's a typo, if that was 11,000 or 1,000.
No, I reckon that must have been the one of the GB Ultras races that's all along the canal. Manchester, still something or other. Sorry, I can't remember the name of what it was.
That's super interesting.
It must be that, mustn't it?
That's a lot of miles for not a lot of vert. That's incredible. Well done. Last up, Tina Brown requests to follow. So I don't know what the deets are, but yeah, 69.5 miles for the week. Longest run at 24.3 and another big vert, 11,178 feet. And last Saturday, Ultra Trails hosted the 4th edition of the Wolds Rangers Way Ultra 50k, first across the line in the open class in an incredible time of 3 hours, 47 minutes and 42 seconds was, how would you pronounce that, Eddie?
Or Runa, maybe Runa Setha. We butchered it, but we love you, Runa. Good job.
Smoke and fast time. Will that ever be beaten? That's the gauntlet going down there. Chrissy Dover was the winner in the female class in a brilliant time of 4 hours, 35 minutes and 3 seconds. Now, Chrissy has now completed a hat-trick of first podium finishes. Well done, Chrissy. That is incredible. Tales from the trails.
Hi, Gary and Eddie. Here's the second part to my Northern Traverse story. I tried to keep it short but failed. Some might remember me, we all do, as the guy who DNF'd the Northern Traverse 12 miles from the end, hallucinating about homeless people with bikes. As I still have my pebble from last year that didn't make it to the sea, I had no choice but to go back this year. My plan was simple: do things mostly the same but with a little extra sleep. Again, I had a great first day across the lakes. Again, I felt that I was losing too much time on day 2 across the dales. I got myself into a very dark headspace for most of the day until the bike shop in Reeth, when I realised I was actually ahead of the plan. Amazingly, this very fact had the magical effect of making all my aches and pains disappear so I could push on to Richmond in record time. It is here that I had my only 30 minutes sleep of the race last year, and here that I planned this time to have 90 minutes. A good few hours up on last year, I decided to have 2 hours sleep before pushing on. The second night went without incident, and I went through Lordstone still ahead of the plan. The few climbs and descents that followed I took a little easier this year, hoping to be in a condition to actually do some running to the Lion Inn. Those of you that done the race will know the horrendous 7-mile flat road that winds its way endlessly to Blakey Ridge and the Lion Inn. It's not flatly, it's definitely all uphill. I was moving well, not so much running, but a combination of power walking and a sort of jog shuffle. A quick stop at the pub for a Coke and on across the tops towards Glaisdale. A couple of miles out, I see another runner in the distance, and this gives me the motivation to get a bit of a jog on. Last time it was just dark when I got to Glaisdale, but this time I wanted to get there before sunset. I passed the other runner who was struggling a bit with his ankle and raced down into the support point. There were a few people resting up in there, so saw the opportunity to gain a few places. I was in and out quite swiftly and still with good daylight and ahead of the others. I found I could no longer stomach energy bars and chews, so decided to stick with just the tailwind through the third night. My mouth seemed to have developed a direct connection with my bum. The moment anything sweet touched my tongue, my bum would quiver and I'd feel like I'd poo myself. My power walk shuffle jog powered me through to Grosmont. I always want to read that in French. Grosmont. In under an hour.
I think it is Grosmont. Yeah. I think
is it Grosmont? In under an hour, and it was still light when I hit the hill. It was at the top of this endless hill. Oh, Gary. I'm actually just envisaging you on this hill. At around midnight last year that it all went wrong. This year, way ahead, I powered up the incline in the last of the daylight. As the sun began to set, the temperature dropped dramatically. I had the words of Eddie etched into my mind. Lee, why were you not wearing your warm clothes? Do you think this is what I said to him last time? I can't remember, because we were really close, me and Lee, when we did it. I think he was like the one, he was ahead of me.
I walked up some of the hill with him.
Yeah, he must have been like literally just before me through most of the race. And then we'd see each other at a checkpoint. I decided to get to the top and then to stop to don my insulated jacket and warm clothes. No sooner had I removed my pack than 2 runners went past. Where the hell did they come from? I know that feeling too. I thought I was moving so well. I caught and passed the first one just as the last of the light faded. Now we're in cuckoo territory. Was 2 hours sleep going to be enough? I hammered the descent into Little Beck, looking frantically for... I love that you're still racing this so hardly. Looking frantically for the head torch in front and behind me, but couldn't see either. I rounded the bottom and started the path up to the stream when from nowhere there was a light just behind me. How did that happen? He was nowhere to be seen. As the realisation that this might be the first guy who could have taken a wrong path hit me, I was off, sprinting flat out up the winding path, up and down the steps, over bridges, constantly checking back for the approaching lights. I was breathing hard and knew it would be unsustainable. I started necking that Veloforte energy chews 2 at a time. It was a risk I had to take. The lights faded, but I pushed on somehow. I ended up a little higher on the side of the valley than I should and thought I could see torches below me. As the paths slowly came back together, I lost them again. This is very complicated, this bit, Gary, in the Northern Traverse. It's not complicated, but when you're off your tits, it's definitely worth a recce, this bit. I was approaching a hairpin bend at the end and then a switchback. I thought I saw a torch coming back above me. Surely they couldn't have got in front of me. Maybe I was catching somewhere else, or maybe the hallucinations had started and they're not there at all. Eventually I came out onto open moorland. I kept seeing torchlights come and go, sometimes in front, sometimes behind, then over to the side. Why are they over there? I asked myself. Not sure if they're runners or not. I push on hard. As I pass through Hawkser, I keep checking behind to see no lights. But then out of nowhere, a man in a red jacket appears moving fast. This cannot be real. I run to stay ahead, but he catches me. I try to keep up for a while. I shout, "Where did you come from? You weren't there a minute ago." But I don't catch his muffled reply. "You've got to be a hallucination. There's no way you could run like this at this point of the race." I'm breathing hard again and running flat out, but it's too much. "Oh, I know you're not real," I say. "I'm going to have to let you go." And so I slow back down. He turns into a caravan park just ahead of me. As I turn in, I can see him at the bottom. Something's not right. I catch him back up. "See, I told you," I shouted back at him. "You were wearing red a minute ago, and now you're in blue. I knew you weren't real." He then turns to look at me, and it's a completely different bloke. "Yes," he said, "that guy in the red's just passed me too. He's really flying." No, he's not. I reply, "He's a hallucination. If he was real, we would have seen his headlight." Was the man in red real? Is the man real? I don't know. "Are you real?" I say, tapping him on the shoulder. "Yes," he said. I've slowed down a bit. I'm just getting to the end now. He then introduced himself as Duncan. Or am I, he says. You'll never know, will you? Oh no, Duncan, you're playing with Lee. We then had a good chat along the coast path. I tell him that I failed last year, 12 miles from the end. You're not the guy off the podcast that was hallucinating, are you?
Excellent.
Yes, that's me. I told loads of people that story, he says, and this year's one is even better. Oh, it'd be nice to get in before midnight, so I'm asking him if he knows how far is left. My watch says 2 miles, he says. Well, that's done it then. There's no way I'm doing 2 miles in 20 minutes now. Maybe if I hadn't slowed down to talk to a hallucination, I replied. We carry on at our current pace a little more, and I realised the problem with my plan. I thought that if things started going wacky again, I'd just slow down a little and run in with the person behind. Now I realise that I've no way of knowing whether that person is real or not. I then start thinking, if these people are not real, then might I not actually be here? And I might be at the top of Grosmont Hill with hypothermia after failing to put on my warm layers. Is this a bit of a grim thought? It's about then that I see another head torch behind us on the coast path. That's it, I say. I'm not being beaten by another hallucination. I'm going to run the rest. If you're real, I'll see you at the end. With that, I start pushing as hard as I can again. The light gets closer and closer, but I keep in front. We leave the coast path, running fast through the houses. As we approach the event centre, a girl in a high-vis runs out. Apparently, they weren't expecting us so fast. She managed to stay just in front as we sprinted down the hill towards the sea. High-vis girl, then me, and possibly phantom head torch guy behind. If the rear lady had not been on the slipway to grab me, I think I'd have just run straight into the sea. I spin around. Are they there? Are they real? I say. A minute later, the next guy comes, but it's Duncan. He must have sped up with me. A couple of minutes later, Phantom Head Torch Man also finishes. A rear lady then informed me that I'd finished at 11:59 with a minute to spare. What a race. It turns out everything was actually real. The guy in red was running really fast and finished about 15 minutes before us. I finally got to throw my pebble in the sea and start the walk back up to the hill towards HQ. Love. He didn't put love, but I think he means it. Love, Lee. Oh, Lee, that was epic. What a story. We're so happy. We're so happy that, well, we're so happy you finished, but also we just absolutely love your hallucination stories. Take care of yourself, though, Lee, out there. Gosh.
It's quite scary, the
now,
extent
Lee.
of those hallucinations.
Have you ever had any hallucinations, Gary?
Yeah, 13 Valleys. But they weren't.
Did you see pigs? Were they pigs in the field? What was it that you
Well,
saw?
it was just tricks of the light, I think, on rocks and leaves and things like that. Nothing like full blown, like. Oh no, there was people actually in Keswick. Yeah, I did kind of visualize some people.
Oh, they were
in Keswick.
clapping you in, weren't they?
Yeah,
You had an audience.
I wonder if Lee's going to be the Old County Tops because he was there last year after his previous Northern Traverse attempt. But fantastic! Oh, so pleased, Lee. Because yeah, like I said, I bumped into Lee. I was loitering in Grosmont for a little bit and just kind of clapping runners along. And Lee was one of those people who passed me. And I did walk up a little bit that hill with him. And when I found out he DNF'd, I couldn't believe it because I just couldn't connect the Lee that left me and the Lee that DNF'd maybe, a few hundred metres later.
Yeah.
Well done, Lee.
We love your tales from the trails. Keep them coming in. Send them to hello@tandtrails.com.
Thank you, Protein Rebel, for bringing us home. I will be taking some collagen and magnesium to London with me. Just magnesium before the race and after the race, but that collagen, yeah, I'm definitely feeling a bit creaky these days after I probably had about a week without collagen, so I don't want to leave that gap any longer if possible. Phoenix Light is spotting this month's competition. We've got 2 awesome head torches to give away to be in with a chance of winning the Phoenix HL18R-T version 2 headlamp. You need to pop over to Instagram, like this post, share the post to your stories, follow Tea and Trails and Phoenix Light UK, and in the comments tag a friend who you would love to light up the trails with. This competition closes at midnight on the 30th of April, so you don't have long. And this competition is for Instagram only. 2 winners will be contacted by direct message. What you got coming up, Eddie?
Well, you've got lots of fun things coming up, so I'll keep it short. You know me, don't like to chat. Kids have only just gone back halfway through the week. Oh, Lord above. I have to look after my own children for a few days.
Oh, imagine that.
Oh, the best. I'm being quite, I've got, I'm doing, what am I doing, Gareth? What am I doing? Ultra Trail Scotland as a recce, 100 miles as a recce in June. So I need to up my long run and keep that as sacrosanct. And the weekends can't, when they've got all their sport, I can't fit a long run in. So I am going to keep Friday. I've written it in my diary. Keep clear, and to myself, abusive in caps lock, to keep clear so that I have, because I want to do some big days. I want to do some like 5, 6. But even when I went out for 3 hours at the weekend, I'm still out for like 4, because by the time I faff.
Yeah.
And also I really enjoy the long run days. I don't like to be like, I want to stop for my snack. I want to stop for my snack.
I get
we
you.
love it, isn't it? So I'm going to try and keep Fridays clear for the next, I think I've got 3 or 4 Fridays and not put any work in. One of them I've got to have my car serviced, the glamour. And I've got a couple of adventures coming up too. But so I really want to get some long days in with my poles. I've got a few little routes. I've got paths, I love know where a path goes. So I've got a few of those. I'm going to do that this Friday. Longer threshold, which I love. And just a tiny bit of heat training. One big sesh I'll do on the treadmill, because that only takes an hour or so. I'll do that over the weekend, but I'm just going to let my back recover. I'm going to let it drop a bit. And I'm going to see as well whether then that has any training effect or anything. Have I saturated the possible training effect of heat training?
Yeah.
Nobody knows. I definitely feel that I don't get the same stimulus from it now. I don't feel the same exhaustion. So maybe backing off a little bit.
I'm wondering when I will see the benefits of it, because London...
Have you so resting heart rate lowered?
Yeah, for a few days it was. It had gone down to 39 instead of 41. It's only about 41 beats and it had gone down to 39.
Probably gone up because you're a bit anxious again this week.
So London, it's definitely too soon. I'm going to be dehydrated and shattered going into that. I'm not shattered, but I'm not tapered going into that race. Lakeland 100... There's so many variables for a race like that I don't think I can rely on putting it to practice then. I've got Swaledale Marathon actually at the end of June, so that isn't quite marathon distance. So that might be the one actually where you reduce the variables. Like say Lakeland 100 could be horrendous weather, you could be puking after 3 or 4 or 5 hours, the attrition of a race like that too. But that short trail marathon, that might be a little tester to go, this is...
See where Gary's at. Yeah, so nothing exciting. Piecing together a bit of a jigsaw week, but we'll carry on. Eyes on the prize, Gary. Eyes on the prize. Basically, I'm just going to download the London Marathon app and just put you in as my number 1 favourite.
Hey, top of the list.
Hey, I so wanted to come down. I had this secret plan that I was going to come and start at the finish and then run until I saw you. Like start at like 3 o'clock in the morning. But the kids have got these really important sports things that they need.
It's a long travel.
I'd have done it, Gary. I'd have done it. But
I appreciate that. Appreciate the
sorry,
sentiment.
but you are.
London
are you going to
Marathon
win?
bound.
Does anybody ask you if you're going to win?
I think I'm gonna. There's a good chance. I wonder if I was racing on the V50, I'm still going to be like in the hundreds of the V50. But yeah, London Marathon for me with the 0 taper. Well, that's an exaggeration. I think I'm going to start a taper.
This could be the opening. I cannot. This is definitely the podcast for next week. London Marathon with 0 taper.
So far this week I've run 2 heat sessions.
Don't tell us. You got to wait till next week.
Okay.
We can't know the deets.
But I will start the taper. Okay, I will start the taper on Thursday. That's probably when.
Yes, classic. I think there's been good science behind 2-day tapers. One of which
this is
we
a
walked
test.
around the expo signing autographs.
So I'll do that on Friday. Hopefully Saturday will be a super, super chilled day. But yeah, definitely not going to appreciate the benefits of a proper taper. But it is a test. There is some... I don't want to devalue London Marathon. There's lots of people with London Marathon, like they're aiming for that race for so long. So me saying I'm not bothered about it, I hope that's not triggering.
No, you're not
people.
bothered about it. It's just you're using it you're just using it differently.
My method to the madness. I've done some reading on when the last day you could do your heat training for an event when you're in the taper, and I read between 3 and 5 days. So I'm more invested in all county tops for this information. So I thought, well, if I go to the extreme end, 3 days for London Marathon,
which is a motto from the podcast, we always go to the extreme end.
but that should give me, so if I get to heat champion, then I'm going to have that. You lose about 2% I think per day when you're not doing it, something along those lines. That might just keep me in as a heat champion for Sunday. So even though I'll be dehydrated, won't be tapered, my red blood cells might somehow help me out. really fortunate. I normally travel down on the Saturday, have a super, super busy day, do the expo, full of stress, get to the accommodation. We're going on a day early. So if we can do all the admin on Friday, have a really cruisy Saturday. If I could have like under 4,000 steps for the day, I think that would be a pretty chill
It's
day.
probably the only time, isn't it? The panic the day before the race. If I'm going to stay somewhere and I just sit in the hotel room, I'm like,
Yeah. Guilt-free laziness. And I had a nap the other day, actually, and I'm not too sure how it does it. You know, we do devalue a lot of the information our watches, our smart devices give us. How does the watch know I actually slept? What happens? Is it the breathing it's picking up or whatever it is? I'm
your
not
heart
too
rate,
sure.
surely, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know what
Mine
the
tells
metrics are.
Mine tells me I've napped when I'm not napped. If I just sit really still.
See, it's
it
never ever
goes,
done that. It's never said I've had
Did
a
you
nap.
enjoy your nap? And I'm like, I was playing pairs. No, if I'm really not doing anything, like if I go for a sports massage, it will think I've had a nap.
I very rarely have a nap, so I think yesterday or the day before I was so pooped, so I just went and half an hour upstairs and it recorded it as a nap, and I'd never ever known that.
You should do that more often.
I felt groggy for about an hour. I felt terrible, but come early evening,
You feel so much better, don't you? You feel so much better early evening if you can just have. I'm absolutely the queen of the 20-minute. I just go upstairs. I literally go upstairs, set my alarm for 20 minutes, lie down, get it back up, straight back up. Cup of tea, I'm good.
So I was
And
just
then
thinking again, trying to apply it into race scenario, these big races like Spine Race, Northern Traverse.
Yeah, I started doing it before Spine because James told me, he said, get really good at just putting your head down on something and just going straight to sleep. Yeah, put it as part of your training. Right, come on, let's go. We've got things to do. Thanks so much for tuning in. We love you for listening. Please share the episode, share the pod, share the love. Share the love if you see Gary at the inspo over on the marathon. If you see me out crying on the trails, give us a hug. Pop over to Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, subscribe, or even consider becoming one of our awesome Patreons. Thanks to Xmile, Precision Fuel Hydration, Phoenix Lights UK, Harrier Trail Running, Protein Rebel and Shocks for sponsoring this week's show. Here come the codes. T15 2025 for Shocks, T15 for Protein Rebel, T-Time 2025 for Precision Fuel Hydration, and T10 for Harrier Trail Running. Thank you to our partners and patrons. We couldn't do this without your ongoing support.
And good luck to everybody who is London bound. And yeah, if you do see me, I'll have my orange bobble hat on, I think.
Not running in, just heat training. Get that sensor. All you'll have on is the red shorts and your heat sensor with the strap and a gel.
Red shorts.
One gel down your pants. That's what it is.
Red
Everybody needs a
shorts.
gel.
Not the same red shorts, but the red shorts are back for London Marathon. I'm going to run with the heat sensor. I'm not going to use it for anything other than just collecting the data afterwards to see if you did get some kind of heat zone in that run. Yeah, if you're London or Manchester bound, whatever you're doing, have a blast. We hope the trail rises to meet you and the wind always be on your back. Be kind to your future self. Breathe and believe, and progress, not perfection. My name is Gary Thwaites.
I'm Eddie Sutton.
And that was episode 118 of the Tea and Trails podcast. And don't forget the Tea and Trails Ultra Buy One Get One free Easter sale ends on the 30th.